Hello, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Watanagashi. When we left off, Mion got outed as Shion, and scared us really bad. And that's where we are right now, with a lot of tips as well. Yeah, a lot of tips, I think. Just remembering what happened. No, not view all, view new. View new. Oh, just two. I thought it was a lot more than that. That's alright. From the scrapbook, 10? 11. 11. Yeah, I think. I get my Roman numbers right. The problem with twins. Haha, yes. I know about that. This is not limited to just Hinamizawa, but in the Onigafuchi village especially, the three families detested giving birth to twins as successors. The long-term dictatorship built on the precarious balance of the three families must have feared collapsing under the weight of the internal strife from things like family quarrels. According to the literature, if twins were born, then they had to be culled. With that, the very fact that both the Sonozaki family successor, Mion Sonozaki, and her twin, Shion, are alive is in itself deeply interesting. Or perhaps the current leader, Oryo, is sympathetic? Probably. Of course, the twins were not cared for equally, and as the heir, Mion received special treatment. From what I've heard, despite the two of them looking exactly the same on the outside, the talent lies solely with Mion. The talent, yeah. My own observations of the two of them don't leave me with that impression. Tradition dictates that the leader of the Sonozaki family is said to inherit a demon, and that they tattoo a magnificent one onto his or her back. In accordance with the tradition, there is an extremely high possibility that Mion has such a tattoo on her back. From what I've heard, there's apparently a magnificent demon tattooed on Orio's back as well. Then I wonder what sort of tattoo belongs to the heir, Mion. I really want to see her back. Yeah. I mean, for the tattoo, I understand. You know, that's dude, she's like a Yakuza confirmed now. If she has a dragon tattoo, a demon tattoo, that's basically a Yakuza at that point, if you're not already a Yakuza. At the Suzu Mahjong parlor. Reserved for the day, Suzu Mahjong parlor. Clatter clack. Hey, Kuda-chan, you're the last one here. All the youngsters are here already. No, haha. Excuse me, miss. Oishi handed over a convenience store bag with a carton of cigarettes in it to the old lady who owned the mahjong parlor, and she surely made herself scarce. She was used to this by now. Oishi-san! Good work today. What? Were you all earnestly waiting for me? You could have just done 3-player. Everyone's sitting at the mahjong tables in the small parlor where Oishi's subordinates, but there were no tiles laid out anywhere. Everyone, I'd like to thank you for your days of investigation without sleep. Thank you! Energetic responses filled the parlor. Already, I'd lost the atmosphere of a place of entertainment. The situation is not looking good. The chief appears to have backed down due to Congressman Sonozaki's threats. Yeah, that's bad. In the coming days, We'll hand off Takano's murder to the Gifu police, and give the missing persons case of the disappearance of the mayor and the others to community division. That damn upstart chief. The veterans in the room cursed him. All of our requests for warrants were turned down as well. I've been told by our section chief not to go anywhere near the Sonozaki house. We're certainly in a bind, that we are. Incidentally, it'll look like I'll be getting orders to go to the training with the Metropolitan Police Department starting next week. After that, I've been told to take a paid vacation in Izu. A permanent paid vacation, possibly. Well, I suppose that ain't bad. He heard a few dry laughs. It wasn't anything to laugh about, but that's all they could do. This always happens, but incidents are a lot like locking your keys in the car. Keys you need to unlock the door are always locked inside. For cars, you call JAF, and they'll pry open the door for you. For incidents? Kuma-chan, show the map. Kumatani flipped over the whiteboard. On the back was a map of the Sonozaki premises made with magnets. Ah, I see. I get it. Okay. Now, I've been doing this job for a long time. I've got a lot of faith in my gut, but this could be the one time it was wrong, no? Anyone worried about their retirement money has until the count of 10 to get out of here. Moshi began to count to 10 and everyone counted along with them. It was the famous 10-count resolution. 9, 10. Ah, no one's leaving. None of you love your families too much. Is that it? Woohoo. Wahaha. Yeah, hilarious. Everybody laughed uproariously, cheering things up. I want everyone to go over their materials, memorize the locations and blind spots of all the security cameras. Kuma-chan, you'll stand by in the command car. If something happens, you'll switch with me and take over. Komiyana-kun will head up Infiltration Team A. Are they actually going to, like, infiltrate? No way. Atsushi-kun will lead Team B. Observation teams will set up points 1 through 8. Bonshi-kun, you're responsible for keeping a strict timetable. Control your rotation so HQ doesn't get wise. Now, the team on standby has the most important job, alright? If the section chief asks where I am, play dumb. Wahahaha. I'll handle escorting our guest. I'll probably take him to the venue, so wait patiently, everyone. Wonder if he'll cave. Keiichi Maibara, that is. What? Take him to the venue. Keiichi? From what I've seen, we're set for tomorrow and the day after that in that regard. It'll be easy. Hoo 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 hoo. What are they planning? Oh, what are they planning? Oh, that's so sus. That's so sus. Alright, continuing then. Oh boy. And it just ended straight out last time. It just ended straight up after that freaking eye scare. Keiichi? Keiichi? Just leave him alone. His friends went missing. Oh, poor baby. Must be really hard for him. Normally my dad never shows me any consideration, but this time he did. Shouldn't Keiichi stay home from school for a while too? I think it would be safer not to go until the police do something about this. Maybe. Compared to what could happen, taking a few days off wouldn't be a bad idea. Anyways, how is it logical not to close school during such a dangerous situation? What do those teachers think our children are? Mom and Dad were getting pretty riled up, but at this point, I couldn't care less. Besides, that wasn't the only thing I could care less about. The breakfast table, the food in front of me, the time and date, myself, I really had no interest in anything. This feeling, it's like a dead fog in my mind. It felt like getting dizzy after taking a strong medication. Keiichi, how are your studies going? You've gotten further than the other kids, haven't you? If you have, then you can take a few days off, alright? I didn't even feel like answering. Oh. It's okay, Keiichi. Today was Thursday. Only 4 days had passed since the Watanagashi festival. Such a short time. And yet, now things were completely different. At least he's not missing. He didn't go missing, which is, I call that a win. We won. For now. Everything had changed. The tranquil village, bright and clear as if it were an Indian summer, had undergone a total reversal. People were made to disappear every night, and we couldn't even relax when walking out in broad daylight. The village had become a world of fear. I had no right to curse this outcome. After all, the one responsibility for everything was me. No, it wasn't, Keiichi. You can't say that. You can't say it was your fault. Like, you don't know anything about what's going on, alright? That night, I couldn't resist my honestly tiny little and incredibly stupid curiosity and broke the taboo. Well, yeah, no, I still don't blame him. This isn't somewhere we should be going, is it? Let's not. It's a crime to force your way into a locked building, even if you don't steal anything. Shion, now that you know they weren't having some secret rendezvous, you've had enough, right? I don't want to do something like this. What if Rika-chan's dance ends while we're messing around here? Which it did. Proud old honest, I took the lock from Tomotake's hands and put it back on the door. Oh, don't ponder these, different scenarios, Keiichi. That's sad, that's sad. I'll forget everything I saw here. So come on. Let's go, let's go! Takano-san was fretting, but I pushed her away. Tomitake-san was grinning painfully. Shion's shoulders drooped as if to call me an idiot. Even so, I didn't care. Because that would have saved them. Pushed everyone farther and farther away. Rika-chan's dance was still going on. Then, at last, her dance was brought to a close with an roaring applause. I, too, until my hands turned red. I clapped. And I clapped. Oh, dude. That's so depressing. God. Oh. Poor boy. Oh. Ding dong. Mion? Please don't be Mion. Isn't that Rena-chan? She's here because it's your usually meet-up time, isn't she? I looked up at the clock. It was 5 minutes past my time to meet up with Rena. Keiichi, shouldn't you take a few days off from school? You're right. Thanks for being so considerate. I rose from my seat, went to the entrance to greet Rena. Good morning. We're going to school as a group starting today. So you can't be late. That's right. We, the ones farthest away, were to be late. The younger kids on the way there should be waiting for us. I think I'm gonna take some time off from school. Aww. Aww. Okay. Rena answered shortly, nodding. I think you should do whatever's best for you, Keiichi-kun. So, you don't need to feel that you're weak or anything. Don't worry, I'm not thinking that. Well, I'm not thinking that. Keiichi for sure is. Oh, and here. It's a notice they're sending around. Could you give it to your mom? I think it has a lot of important announcements in it. I took the notice. There were a lot of more pages than normal. The one on top announced the disappearance of the mayor, Rika-chan and Satoko, and that they wanted any information about them. It made my heart ache. The police are looking as best they can, too. They'll find them for sure. Just be patient. Okay? Aw, Rena has hope. Rena said, smiling in an attempt to give me courage. Rather than that, though, her smile looked like it was because she herself wanted to believe they were safe. Rena, you're not going to question me? No. Rena, you know, don't you? About that night, what I... You mean when you snuck into the ritual storehouse? You don't have to say it out loud. I was speechless for a moment, then I bit my lip, made up my mind, and nodded a little. So it's all out in the open. Really, I shouldn't do bad things like that. Mi-chan was really mad. So she was upset. Yes, she was. I suppose she would have been. I don't think she was angry about you sneaking in there, though. Well, what was she mad about? As much as about you hiding it from her. Oh, okay. I got it. Maybe, Kei-chan, you should have told her yourself and apologized. I should have told her myself and apologized. That troubled me. Just 1 week ago, I did something that I, myself, should have apologized to Mion for. I'd hurt her badly. Oh! Because in the beginning, we did something bad, which is not give Mion the doll. And now we're doing something bad again, which is going into the storehouse and not telling her about it. Maybe. However, I hadn't realized that at all. Plus, with all the confusion that Shion's appearance had brought, I still hadn't been able to talk to Mion about it. Rena, you're right. I never realize anything until you tell me. Keiichi-kun? That was deep. Keiichi-kun, hypothetically, if you had admitted you'd done something wrong right away and apologized to me-chan, I wonder if Rika-chan and Satoko-chan wouldn't have had to disappear. But Rika! Not Rika, Rena, God! What the heck? Why would you even imply something like that? Why? Couldn't answer right away. Couldn't admit to that. Wasn't Rena telling me right now, though, that I should have admitted to my crime sooner? If I had done that and apologized, would things not have gone in such a horrible direction? Rena's eyes were filled with kindness, but they weren't naive enough to forgive me for keeping silent, and they stared fixedly into my own. Yeah, you're right. If I had admitted my crime sooner, then Rika-chan and Satoko wouldn't have had to die or disappear. Smack! Palm of Rena's hand slapped me in the cheek. I stood there unmoving, my head still tilted in the direction I'd been hit. It didn't hurt at all. Yes, because I am numb. I don't think that anyone has scolded you, Keiichi-kun. So I'll scold you in their place, okay? I pressed a hand to my cheek, now warm with embarrassment, and quietly stared down at Rena's feet. Feet. Going somewhere you're not allowed to go is a very bad thing to do. Do you understand that? Oh, I'm pretty sure he very well understands right now. Uh-huh. Answer me with a yes, Keiichi-kun. Yes. Oh, dude, that little pout face. Also, what's even worse, you didn't admit to having done something so bad. You should never do anything bad in the first place, but not admitting to it or apologizing for it is much, much worse. Yes, I was wrong. Oh. For a few moments, Rena stared at me silently and intently, as if gauging my remorse. Then, finally, the tension in her face softened and she smiled. Okay then, it's about time. I should be going. Alright. Be sure to give the notice to your mom, okay? Also, warn her not to go out pass it on after it gets dark. Alright. Bent down to pick up the notice, which I dropped when she slapped me. The pages had come out of the class when we're now making a mess on the floor. Gathered them up one by one. Man stopped at a single more light-hearted page, with the peaceful sentences dancing on it. We still have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Huh? Clue? Feel free to come to the I knew it! I knew it! Oh my god, I knew it! Oh my god, feel free to come to the Sonozaki house if you want some. Oh, I knew it. Frickin' Mion. Oh my god. Heck. What is this? I know exactly what that is. It's proof. It's proof. Evidence. Oh my god. I picked up the page and scanned the rest of it. They were stockpiling high-quality soy sauce they got from faraway relatives in the Akita prefecture. They had gotten a big shipment recently. They couldn't use it all, so they wanted anyone who wanted some of it to feel free to come over. Is what it said. As a PS, it said it arrived in barrels, and to please bring a 2-liter bottle or other container for it. That's how it tied together. If you need some soy sauce, then you would go to the Sonozaki house. Rena. Did you know all along? What? What? Rena wouldn't know? Really? Yeah. What? Rena! Rena! I knew. Rena had already been suspicious of Mion. As soon as she saw the big bottle of soy sauce was missing. Riki-chan had taken the bottle and gone to Mion's house, and there, she was erased. Riki-chan wasn't coming back, so Satoko called Mion's house since she knew where she had gone, and then Satoko got called there as well. That meeting on the day the mayor disappeared. Didn't Oishi-san say that the 3 families participated in it? The 3 families would include the Sonozaki family. Didn't he also say that the current leader was really old, so her heir Mion frequently stood in place for her at public appearances? Yeah. While the mayor was returning from the shrine, Mion called out and stopped him. She talked to him and invited him to their house, and then she made him disappear. It was probably even simpler to make Shion disappear. Shion was part of the Sonozaki family. Probably knew exactly what she was doing at all times. I'm sure they even knew her part-time job schedule too. Thinking back, wasn't that Angel Mort's store managed by the Sonozaki family? It was. Setting up an ambush for her there wouldn't have been any trouble at all. I'm going to Mion. I'll go apologize. I'm going to have her put an end to everything. Mion probably won't forgive me easily, but I'll go and ask her not to sacrifice anyone else. That decided, there was no need for me to be lazing around here. Put on my shoes, slipped past Rena to exit the house. She stopped me. I'm going to. Rena, shouldn't you go to school? This is way more important than school. Rena, you shouldn't come. If you get wrapped up in this too, then I think I might actually go crazy. Rena didn't move her arm, which was blocking my way. Her thick meat claw was blocking my way. If Keiji-kun disappeared as well, then I think I might actually go crazy too. So I won't let you go alone. Rena argued boldly as tears welled up in her eyes. I saw them, and I knew the strength of her resolve. Alright, let's go. Thank you, Rena. Rena nodded slightly but firmly, and finally let down the arm blocking me. Let's go to Mion's house. I'll apologize for the crimes I've committed. Then we'll put an end to these twisted days. After that, I'll pray that once more we can return to those fun, lively days. The music, though. With Rena following me, I left the house. In front of the house, there was a car waiting. It was Oishi-san. Hey, good morning, Maibara-san. To you too, Ryugu-san. Together so early in the morning, you make me jealous. What a truly praiseworthy man he was if he had been lying in wait so early in the morning just to pressure me into talking. On this morning, though, maybe this was actually a good opportunity. You're from the police. Oh, have I not introduced myself to you, Ryugu-san? The car with AC! Yeah. Please excuse my rudeness. My name is Oishi from the Okinomiya Police Department. Pleased to meet you. Are we telling Oishi-san? Yeah. I think my palm has enough punishment for your crime, Keiji-kun, but we should leave Michan to these people. Ah. Well, pain and sadness. I looked down as those emotions built up in my heart. We have something to tell you, Oishi-san. Well now, what about? Should we stand here and talk? Or go inside the AC-filled car? In the car, please. I only continued to look down weakly, as all I could do was be thankful for how dependable Rena was. Oh god. At Rena's urging, I revealed everything to Oishi-san. The latter, while making sure to throw in murmurs that he was paying attention every now and then, took notes. We continued that way for a while. How do you feel? Don't you feel a lot better now that you've told me? Oishi-san asked this while scratching his head with a ballpoint pen. Of course I don't feel better. The price had been paid up until now for me not owning up to my crimes had been so immense. But as long as that payment wasn't returned, the load on my chest would never be removed. Its radio started to emit static. Bzz, bzz, this is Kumitani. Oi-san, over, over. Yes, hello? This is Oishi. Oishi. We've got news for a few minutes ago. She's been absent from school. No movement at the Sonizaki house. Our target is still on the premises. Yes, good. Keep a close watch out. Roger that. Cars 3 and 7 just arrived for support. We've returned to base. Return to base. Also, I think the division chief is looking for you, Oishi-san. He keeps annoying me too, even though I keep telling him I'll try to get in touch with you. What should I do? If you're hard-pressed for an answer, tell him you're actually under orders not to wake me from my morning nap. Got it? Bzz. The radio grew silent. Sorry about that. It was about work. He just said there was no movement at the Sonizaki house, didn't he? Oh my, did it sound like that to you? This won't do. Please, keep that a secret, alright? Just smacks him, knocks him out cold, drops him off at his house, never to be seen again. I don't have permission from the division chief to be making private inquiries like this. Oishi-san had suspected Mion for a long time. Nor for questioning witnesses or for searching houses. We don't have permission for anything, really. Sonizaki House's defense is said to protect the family members are also in full working condition. Without a warrant, we can't do anything about anything, unless the crime happens right in front of us. Oishi-san, could you be... Rena's tone of voice alone was enough to make her spite clear as she stared at Oishi-san. You can't set foot in the Sonizaki house. Were you trying to get Keiji-kun to go in there instead? No! Oh my god. Rena, that's... Rena, that's... What do you mean?
Hello there.
This person... Hello? This person, just as I thought, he really plays dirty. Stop, you're hurting my reputation. That said, I'm all ears to your explanation, okay? Oishi-san lit a cigarette and responded to Rena, wearing an expression implying he was calm and willing to let her comment slide. You can't get a warrant, but you've always had your eyes on Mi-chan because you thought she was suspicious. Yes? You plotted to entice Keiji-kun and have him go to the Sonizaki house. Then, if something were to happen to him, you would have used that as an excuse to go in. Isn't that right? I only understood about half of what Rena was saying. She's not even being that confusing, Keiji. I knew, however, that Oishi-san had been trying to use me. Even if Keiji-kun got hurt as a result, have you no shame? Is this how the police do things? Oh, Rena, it's alright. It's alright. My. It seems we have an incredible detective on our hands. She really is a detective, isn't she? Oh my. Would you be interested in taking our exam? That's so good. I'll gladly write a recommendation letter to get you into the detective division. You're despicable. Rena spoke quietly, her words dripping with hostility. You're despicable. Yeah, that's exactly how the police does things. Yeah. I've been insulted in all kinds of ways in my life, but one or two words from a young girl is always the roughest for me. Even so, I suppose I should thank you for not arresting Mi-chan yet. Don't mention it. Oishi-san seemed to be enjoying his exchange with Rena. Yeah, if you, someone younger than you that is smarter than you, that's pretty good. The things that this man thought were like a swamp. I could barely see past the surface. Yes, Keiji, because you are a big dumby. Very, very stupid. It reminded me again of how much I disliked him. Oh, what? You can't dislike the AC, man. What are you gonna be out in the heat for, then? What the heck? Now then, as two esteemed friends of me and Sonizaki-san, what do you plan on doing now? Will you wait kindly for me to go over the evidence and request a warrant? No, we won't wait for that. We'll go and make Mi-chan surrender herself. That's right. If she turned herself in rather than be arrested, she might get a lighter sentence. At this point, perhaps that was the only pity I could find in me to afford her. I see, I see. I wonder if that will go well. Yeah, I wonder as well. If you're careless, you two may face danger, you know. Oji-san was measuring our resolve. So, in a strong voice, I declared, "We're fully prepared." Oh, are we now? Oishi-san gave us an unpleasant yet seemingly satisfied grin. It was then I realized that this man was trying to use us for his own convenience. Well, I mean, yeah. If anything should happen to us, use that as an excuse. Though my greatest hope is that you will surround the place so that the criminals can't get away. Yugo-san, you're good at negotiating too. I'm throwing in the towel. I surrender. Well, what are you talking about? They're just playing around. If the policemen surround Mi-chan's house, then that would be insurance for the worst case scenario. For the worst case. Plus, it would be another way of pressuring Mion to give herself up, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Ah, Oishi Takuma-chan. Oishi Takuma-chan. Bzz, 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 Kumitani. Go ahead. Our two friends are going to play at the Sonozaki house. Make arrangements so that we can reinforce them if needed. Roger. Bzz. Their altogether too short conversation implied that our questioning was already a part of their plans. Oh. Was it? Then, let's get going. Want to buy some tea biscuits on the way there? Neither Rena nor I went along with Oishi-san's stupid joke. Yeah. Oishi stopped the car at the place where we always waited for Mion. Come to think of it, I've never been to Mion's house before. I've only heard that it's right down this road. This is as far as I can take you. According to our information, there are quite a few security cameras set up on the premises. Still, don't worry. I've got a bunch of youngsters ready and waiting to slip past them and go in. We'll be monitoring the inside with a one-way mic, so if you two give a loud scream, we'll know right away. We'll persuade her for sure, so please be ready for her to turn herself in. Both our eyes was determination. It was the only method available to us for lighting the sins of our good friend. Be plenty careful, you hear? You probably don't believe it right now, but I don't want you two being sacrificed if at all possible. You're right about that. With that rude response, we left the car. Man, Keiichi really doesn't like him, does he? The clinging humidity and voices of the cicadas greeted us. I never expected this would be happening today. Let's go, Keiichi-kun. Let's go, Keiichi-kun. Yes. Rena took the lead and began to walk. Down the road I've never been. Rena, you've been to Mion's house before, right? Yeah, a few times. It's a really big house. You could fit a mountain into their backyard too. You can pick mushrooms and stuff, though there are fences everywhere. Big enough to fit in a mountain. That was amazing. One of the three families controlling Hinamizawa and the head family of the Sonozaki clan. Perhaps there was something similar to be said about its magnitude. Yeah. The path continued onward, level and uneventful. There were metal fences along its edges, and beyond them were woods with trees growing thickly. Fences were high, tops of them bent inwards, sticking out like sharp spears. Plus, there were dangerous-looking barbed wire wrapping them. No one could look at them and not feel intimidated. In addition, there were signboards hung up here and there along the fence. Private property of the Sonozaki family. Entrance forbidden. Beware of venomous snakes. Active security cameras. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of 1 million yen. Jesus Christ. This forest, or should I say, mountain. Is this all their yard? Looks like it. It's more like their domain. As you can see, it's private property, but nobody maintains it. The forest isn't really the kind you can go hiking in. She could say that again. It really did feel like a neglected, savage woodland. It was dark and damp, and certainly not a forest that made you want to go for a nice walk. Maybe that's just what happens when a landowner has too much land. Like Oishi-san said, there were security cameras hung up all over the place. Though they had been weathered by wind and rain, casting doubt as to whether they were even functional. I wonder if Mion's watching us as we come to her. Probably. I don't think she is. The only people living in Mi-chan's house were generally her and her grandma, after all. There's nobody to watch the cameras. Oh. What a useless security system. It's just to intimidate. Well, Mi-chan's father seems like a pretty tough person to get along with. So whenever everyone in the family is getting together, the cameras are apparently working properly. That's right. Mion's father. He was a big shot Yakuza, wasn't he? Rena smoothly danced around the answer as she explained. At last, a huge gate, as big as I'd imagined, appeared. She feeling by herself and her grandmother in a house with such a grand entryway. I wonder if she's here. Beep. The old buzzer made a dull sound. Was it cut off in the middle and not getting to the house? We waited long enough without a response for me to start thinking like that. However, we finally heard footsteps walking through gravel on the other side of the gate. I nervously balled my hands, my palms now sweating into fists. There was the clang of the bolt being released, and the gate opened slightly. The person peeking out of the gap was none other than Mion. We know what you've done with that gun. Well, this is unusual. Aren't you two going to school? Mion didn't seem all that surprised at visitors arriving in the morning, which wasn't a normal time. East, don't go at me with that emoji. In fact, she was almost seemed relaxed, as if she knew we were coming beforehand. We stayed home today. Kei-chan is one thing, but you too, Rena? You two are such troublemakers. Mion smiled lightly in a way that the Mion we knew always did. Well, let's not just stand here. Come on in. Now, where did you hide them? Where did you put them? She gestured for us to follow her. I hesitated for a moment, looking at Rena. Let's go. Rena smiled cheerfully, as if she were passing through the gate of a good friend's house, and then did just that. See, Mion is so nice. She would never do anything bad. Oh, innocent, joking East. I, doubt that. Rally myself and then go through the gate too. On the other side, it hadn't been maintained very well, but it was clear that the lot was magnificently wide. It wasn't quite what you think of when you hear a mansion, but it was very clearly a vast place. Was this the first time you've been here, Kei-chan? Yeah. This house is enormous. Steep thatch roofs aren't in fashion anymore. This place should be a tourist attraction. I want to rebuild it using totally average and boring reinforced concrete soon. Mion dryly smiled as she said that and then closed the gate and relocked the heavy bolt. Don't worry about it. Things have been dangerous lately. Gotta do at least this. Who's saying that? Don't worry about it. Things, whatever. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was my imagination, but I thought I saw a hint of shadow in her smile, which she probably did. Well then, good sir and madam, I shall show you inside. Please, come this way. Mion bowed to us like a worker at a high-class hotel, then pivoted on her heel and began to walk. Rena gripped my stiffening arm lightly. Opposite of tightly. Keiichi-kun, you're too tense. We came to see Mi-chan, remember? You don't need to be that nervous. That's right. When I get nervous, I tend to let everything show on my face. I'll stop tensing up. Even if something were to happen, there are two of us. Oishi-san's subordinates were waiting outside the gate for us too. There was nothing to worry about. After thinking about it that much, I realized my nervousness was already gone and laughed at myself. Nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. What's this? Mion, what's with the stone on top of the newspapers? It's in the way. There's a pile of newspapers on the floor of the entrance, and there's a large rock on top of them. I don't understand why something like that was there. Rena noticed me looking at it questioningly and giggled. Rena, do you know? What is this? Some kind of good luck charm? If you don't really know, then feel free to move it out of the way or put your shoes in there. Put your shoes there. Keiichi-kun, there's a nest of swallows right above that stone. Huh? Oh, you're right. This house is for people, but swallows still come in without permission to make nests. Must be like a tradition for them. Whenever spring comes, they always make a nest here. It's kind of annoying, though. In other words, it's a sign not to take your shoes off here because swallow poop will end up in them. Ah, okay. Couldn't help but laugh at a silly contrivance. My laughter naturally spread to the other two. A really long time ago, the Sonozaki family apparently cultivated silkworms. Our ancestors would get all worked up over exterminating the swallows. When you think of it that way, maybe this is just our desserts. Our just desserts. Aha! Haha! Anyway, come on in. The inside of our house wasn't very bright at all. Of the house. It was dimly lit, in fact, but mysteriously, I could still feel an elegance to the place. You don't seem to want a more modern building, but traditional houses like this aren't bad either. You're kidding, right? There's a terrible draft, and the winters are freezing. Don't go making my house into property of cultural significance and getting in the way of renovations, got it? What I want most is a house like yours, Kei-chan. I'm pretty jealous of it. Seems like it would be warm in the winter. Oh, but snowfall seemed like it would be a problem. Snowfall's a problem? Does Hinamizawa get that much snow? Our latitude is south of Kanto, isn't it? Isn't this region warm? You don't know, Keiichi-kun? Hinamizawa's in an area that gets heavy snowfall. When we get a lot, everyone gets buried. Sometimes you can't even get out of your house. Jesus, wow. Sometimes your car gets totally buried too, and you can't find where it is. I wasn't aware of that. Hinamizawa was in that bad a place in the winter? Come to think of it, my dad, he said something like, this place got plenty of snow, so we should have fun building igloos. Still, your front door getting buried? Not being able to find your car? That's way too much snow. You remember from geography class, right? The western side of Japan gets cold winds from Asia. We're different from those softies protected by the mountains, nice and warm by the Pacific Ocean. I'm totally okay with being a softie and nice and warm. I hate the cold. Ha, ha. We'll have plenty of training camp to get Kei-chan used to the cold this winter then. No way, there's no way that's happening. I hate the cold and I hate training camps too, and I hate them even more put together. Mion laughed more uproariously than she ever had, then told us she'd bring us some tea and left her seat for the moment. Still, there's a lot of fun things to do in the winter. I bet our club will be a blast then. Our club continuing activities through the winter sounds totally horrible. Like swimming in the cold or marching in the snow? When do we turn into Mount Redhorn? Yeah, there are definitely a lot of tough punishment games for the winter season. Oh, I didn't even think about that. One time she made us have a Rio carnival in the schoolyard while snow was falling. See, the terror of our club cared not for the season. The victor would be decided by who would best adapt to the winter-only events. We do snowball fights and shaved ice eating contests and treasure hunts in the snow. Wait, why is everything outside? Why can't we play tabletop games in a nice warm room while it's snowing? Whoa, Keiichi-kun, if you're saying things like that, you're gonna lose a lot this winter. Oh my god. We'll have lots of punishment games and Rena won't lose. Oh. Don't give me that ho. I settled things with a cross chop to the head. You're sure having fun. Our walls aren't very thick, so be careful not to go flying through any, alright? Okay. The paper sliding door opened as Mion returned with a pot and complete tea set. Good thing we weren't talking about anything sus then. Do you want sesame seeds on your rice? Sorry, we don't have much in the way of bean paste or other good stuff. It's okay. We didn't really come here to drink tea anyway. With those words, the smile disappeared from Rena's face. Did you just slip? Did Keiichi just slip, or was that Rena slipping? She did it. Good job, Rena. That one careless statement reminded us of what we had nearly been able to forget. I had wanted to enjoy this peaceful time for a little longer, but we put an end to that with those honestly careless words. She noticed that smile disappear from Rena's expression. Mion, too, changed hers. It was as if the cheerful air that was like a warm spring day until a moment ago had slipped through the cracks in the paper door and altogether disappeared. There was no point in regretting it now. We did not come here today to chat and enjoy ourselves. Mion silently poured the tea. During that time, both Ren and I sat kneeling without uttering a word. Here you are. Drink up. I couldn't even mutter a word of acknowledgement at those natural words of courtesy. There's no poison in it or anything. Do you distrust me that much? That's upsetting. Not as upsetting as you killing all of our friends, you know? Mion gave a bitter smile at that and let her shoulders droop. We all remained silent. Well, isn't this awkward? We remained silent, hoping that someone else would speak up first. That was, however, the one thing we didn't want to do, so we sat for a long time. At last, Mion smiled scornfully and opened her mouth to speak. Hey now, Kei-chan, Rena. You're the guest. Didn't you come here for something? If you don't speak first, this old man won't know what to do. Rena and I exchanged glances, and we both resigned ourselves. Rena opened her mouth to speak first, so I stopped her. Keiichi-kun. It's okay. I needed to come here. Let me talk first. Okay. I understand. What would Kei-chan have to tell me? Oh, you know. Stop acting stupid. Oh my god. Please give your daughter's hand in marriage, maybe? Can't do that. My little Rena and Kei-chan aren't meant for each other. Yeah, because you love me. I get it, okay? I get it. Go wash your face with miso soup and try again later. Afterwards, I thought her mean remarks were Mion's own way of showing consideration. Mion had said those mean things in a totally normal voice, and it drained the tension from my shoulders. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for. You do? What for? Mion pretended that she didn't know what I was talking about, but I'd clearly gotten my point across. God, I freaking... Mion! Stop. Stop acting like everything's fine. Oh my god. Well, on the night of Watanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went in there. I could see Mion's expression immediately become harder. I knew it was somewhere I wasn't supposed to go, but I was just supposed to be a little bit of exploration. We didn't mean anything by it. Even so, I shouldn't have done it. So I apologize. I'm sorry. To display my deepest sincerity, I pressed my forehead to the table. I'd meant it as my way of prostrating myself. Figured it wouldn't feel sincere enough as if I raised my head right away, so I left it there on the table for a while. Mion didn't say anything. My face down, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Mion had. Only the voices of the cicadas filled the room. Mixed with them, I could hear the sound of a clock ticking. That was all. When I started to struggle to breathe from having my head down for so long, Mion told me to stop. You got me there. I didn't expect you to pitch it to me straight. You've got me on the ropes. Looked up to see that Mion's face was calm, but she was smiling faintly. You understand that even though it was only casual exploration for you, Kei-chan, then there are a lot of people who think it's no laughing matter. Yeah. And it's okay. There's an old saying, when in Rome, do as Romans do. It's been days since then. Maybe too late, but I apologize. What I did was wrong. Please, forgive me. I could feel pitiful tears welling up within me. If I'd done this sooner, maybe nothing terrible would have happened. It's okay. If you know what you did was bad, then that's enough, right? Mion spoke like it was someone else's problem, and I wasn't happy about it. Mi-chan, Keiichi-kun is apologizing seriously. I think you maybe should respond seriously as well. I am being serious, though. Do I not look serious to you, Rena? No, you don't. You look like you're hecking joking. Because all of this is a hecking joke to you, isn't it, Mion? Oh my god. You don't. Rena was giving her tit for tat. And so the room's atmosphere quickly began to grow sharper. We were nearing the climactic finish. Okay. Thanks for the information. She was right. Even though I came here to speak from the heart like this, it's felt like she hasn't been taking this seriously. Obviously, Rena wasn't fond of that.
Kiichi-kun, you can get up now. Let's tell her everything. That looks like what Mi-chan wants, too.
If I had known it would turn out like this from the beginning, hadn't I come here prepared for that? I muttered my willpower and bit my lip. Mion, you called Rika-chan and Satoko the day before last, right? I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, could you let me hear it? Stop. You don't need me to explain the things you already know, the things that you already did, okay? It was evening, before dinner time. Rika-chan should have come here, bringing a big bottle of soy sauce, to have you share some with her. Mion was trying to keep from showing any reaction, but I didn't miss her eyelid twitching just a little bit. Why do you think that?
It's not hard to understand. Mi-chan, you saw it too, didn't you? Rika-chan's room?
Mion put a finger to her forehead and acted like she was thinking.
There was chilled tofu, but no soy sauce. Plus, the big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found.
What? Is that why she would have come here? No way, I love Homestuck Troll. No, that time's over. That time's over. Mion, drop the act. You wrote it yourself on the notice, didn't you? That you'd share your soy sauce? Mion scratched her head. I heard her ever so faintly click her tongue. It was as though we found out she'd purposely given too little change to a servant. That's all I could feel from her. Then, Mi-chan.
Then, Mi-chan, Rika-chan, you hit her.
Rena hesitated for a moment. I could tell that she didn't want to use the word erased, and that she was struggling to find another word.
That was really supposed to be the end, wasn't it? For you, anyway.
What are you talking about?
You didn't foresee that Rika-chan would tell Satoko-chan that she was going to your house? Did you, Mi-chan? Then Satoko called. Might Rika be imposing on you? Yeah, probably just like that.
You sound just like her. Oh, are you just admitting it now? Please, just admit it.
Mi-chan, you're in a bit of a bind then, because someone knew that Rika-chan had come here. So you decided to lure Satoko-chan here too.
Lure her out? Like how, I wonder? Mion prodded Rena on as if trying to get the good part of an interesting story. I, however, knew. I had been watching Mion change the whole time. She was relentlessly twirling her fingers. She had clearly lost her calm. Of course, it was really a slight thing, and only I would have been watching her this whole time would have known. Mion was panicking. What Rena was saying must have been a bullseye.
It probably went like this. Satoko, I actually made too much dinner today, so why not come over and eat? Rika-chan came earlier and already ate some. Something like that?
Scratch. Mion's nails dug into her knee. There's no recordings on the phone of conversations. There's no recordings of the phone conversations or anything, so how do you know that much? Shut up. Hey, he's a sub, okay? Dirk is a sub, alright? Not a sub as in submissive, he's a subscriber, so he gets to be on screen with me. Alright? Oh my god.
I know, because the dinner that Satoko-chan made for the two of them was plastic wrapped in the refrigerator and hadn't been touched.
For a few moments, Mion's face was frozen in utter amazement. She looked like she couldn't believe that this person in front of her was Rena. With just that to go on, how did you even guess what we said over the phone?
It was a long explanation, so I'll get to the point. Contents of that refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you said over the phone when you lured her out.
Mion's jaw remained on the floor. That was the only way I could describe her face. God. That's... I had no idea I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe that you'd figure everything figure out everything, down to the phone conversation. Just from what was inside the fridge. You've got me there. You've got me. You've got me. As if a dam had burst, Mio convulsed into laughter. Her laughter, though, definitely didn't make us want to laugh as well. Ha 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 ha. Ha. Mion grew tired of her dumb laughter, heaved a big sigh, and scratched her head. It almost seemed like Mion had lost a detective punishment game for the club or something, and her punishment had been decided. Oh, how fun it would have been if that were true.
An incredible detective. Mii-chan, you're the one who guessed what Oishi-san told us. He called me an incredible detective too.
She's like, Oishi-san's involved! Oh my god, Rena, you big stupid baby, I can't... As soon as she heard Oishi-san's name, Mion's eyes began to display panic more clearly so that everyone would be able to tell. Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Oishi-san's officers have had the house under observation so they could break in at any time. Mion attempted to feign calm, but it looked like she was having a hard time with that. Part of her couldn't believe that the police had her surrounded, so she closely examined Rena's facial expression. However, she couldn't detect a hint of falsehood. Finally, Mion seemed to accept the fact that the police were encircling the house.
Was the mayor Mii-chan too? Or
Tomitake-san and Takano-san, you as well? Mion didn't answer our rapid-fire questions. I could clearly see impatience in her eyes, which were still feigning calm. At last, Mion, who had been sitting there lazily, readjusted her cushion and sat herself upright. Why is she blushing? At that moment, the atmosphere in the room changed completely. Mion's expression also changed. The impatience and wonderment in her expression disappeared. She became so solemn you'd think she was about to conduct a tea ceremony. I could sense it. It was now, in this moment, Mion had ceased to be Mion, but changed into Mion Sonozaki, the current heir to the Sonozaki house. That solemn atmosphere about her was clearly abnormal, and it was entirely different from that of the Mion I knew. Now, I could believe it. Now, I could believe that she was the young leader who commanded the entire Sonozaki clan. Mion quietly placed both her hands on the tatami mat and gave a beautiful, elegant bow, as if this were really a tea ceremony, and named herself. We meet for the first time. I am the current heir of the Sonozaki house. My name is Mion. Mion's movements were so elegant they could cut, and we couldn't even answer her. All Ren and I could do was watch, baffled at her actions, which we could never imagine the normal her doing.
I would like to welcome you to the Sonozaki main house today. I will greet you all in the place of our leader, Oryo. It seems as though you have various things you would like to ask. If it can be of any assistance, then I would like to answer without concealing anything.
Jesus, she really does have multiple personalities. My god. What? What did Mion just say? Mion said she would answer anything we asked. There was a strong light of resolve in her eyes. It's really alright if we ask anything, then?
I shall tell you everything I know.
That is why you have come here, after all. Yeah, she's in work mode. Yeah, true. Ren and I exchanged glances. There was a amount of things we wanted to ask Mion. However, we hesitated for a moment on what we should ask first. First question Rena gave was extremely abstract, but it was the question everyone wanted to know right now.
Why? Why would you do this?
That's why I wanted to ask as well. Why would you do this? That didn't only go for Rika-chan and Satoko. It went for the mayor, Takano-san, Tomitake-san as well. No, even further back, for all the incidents that have been occurring every year. For a little while, Mion couldn't respond. Right then, we realized that the question was too vague and tried to put it in more concrete terms. She finally opened her mouth to speak. To answer that question will take some time. If that is acceptable, however, then I would by all means like you to hear it. She spoke clearly. She spoke with a clarity that her grandmother might use when telling a story from long time ago. Do you know that Hinamizawa village used to be called Onigafuchi village? Yes, we already know all of these things. Rena nodded lightly, and then shot me a glance asking me if I did. I returned her nod. Hinamizawa was once called Onigafuchi village. Yes. Heard all about that night from Takano-san in the ritual storehouse. firmly believed that demon blood ran through their veins and cut off all contact with the outside world. They were worshipped by those in the villages at the foot of the mountains. They treated like transcendents, those capable of magic. That's right. Our ancestors on Onigafuchi village were proud transcendents descended from the demons. Those in the villages at the foot of the mountains worshipped and honored them. Nevertheless, they all decayed with the end of the Tokugawa era. The black ships arrived, the era of the samurai ended, the era of the national isolation ended, and the tradition of worshipping Onigafuchi village quickly disappeared. Those things that linger from the past were all to be detested. That was the kind of era it became. The Meiji era began, and the name of Onigafuchi village with its long history was forcibly changed to Hidemizawa village. I've heard the Meiji government strongly wished to erase the old customs. The abolition of feudal domains and the establishment of prefectures. An era had begun, seeing Japan sprinting up the stairs that were beyond their means to try and reach the same level with the rest of the world. All things in the Western style were to be extolled, while all traditional things were to be scorned. That was the sort of era it was. Westernized, huh? Our ancestors in Onigafuchi village were proud transcendents descended from the demons. Onigafuchi village disappeared in a flash. At last, Japan, provoked by the great European powers colonizing countries in Asia one by one, began a policy to increase its wealth and military power so it could stand as a global power in its own right. Conscription began, and they won war after war. First Sino-Japanese War, then the Russo-Japanese War, and until the Pacific War broke out, they recklessly climbed the staircase toward modernization. Jesus, we're getting a freaking history lesson here, in case this is all true. At the time, Onigafuchi village had already lost its impenetrability. The villagers, once worshipped as transcendents, were now on the receiving end of inhuman treatment. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit, just in case. The sacred Onigafuchi village had groundlessly labeled an isolated village of those afflicted with incurable diseases, a mere shadow of its former self, and stood on the I have no idea how to say that word. I know what it is. Precipice of an era of hardship. Thus began harsh days where one would suffer unreasonable discrimination just because people knew one was from Onigafuchi. The children in the village at the foot of the mountain were taught not to go near Hinamizawa because filthy germs were rampant there. Children who had come into contact with children in Hinamizawa would cry and wail as their parents purified the spot they were touched by rubbing salt on it. One of the adults said to the children that if you got lost in Hinamizawa, you'd be kidnapped by demons, cut up into pieces, and devoured. Never ever go near that terrifying village of man-eating demons. That's what he taught them. Another said that during a famine long ago, the people of Hinamizawa gathered up all the corpses they discarded into dry riverbeds, then cooked and ate them in order to survive. Groundless stories, but said in such seriousness. Baseless slander added to the baseless slander, making Onigafuchi village's historical accurate, thrilling history all the more believable. Perhaps the chain of undue discrimination was manifested during the people's anxiety towards uncertain times. Of course, the story didn't end only with the perspective of children. If anyone found out you were from Onigafuchi, you would be turned down from any job you applied for. People wouldn't even go back on engagements or marriage proposals. As for the marriages where one partner had lied about it, as soon as the truth got out, they were made to divorce. They even caused trials. They would appeal that where one came from wasn't an important enough reason to divorce. They would, however, lose their case. Lying about one's birthplace apparently constitutes a heavy act of misrepresentation in marriage.
That's terrible.
Precipice. Precipice? Precipice? I think you're lying to me.
I've heard about such discrimination.
I've heard about such discrimination toward those in small villages in civics class. Just because others knew you were from a tiny hamlet, you would be subjected to every societal disadvantage there was, a modern form of bullying. Though I only memorized that because it was going to be a test one time. I recalled being suspicious about it and unable to believe such discrimination occurred in modern Japan. It is said like that. Okay, okay, okay. You guys know English more than me, I get it. Ah, my voice. That was a lot of talking. Hold on. Ah, okay.
Well, I suppose I can't say that if it weren't asking for it.
Oh. Well, I suppose I can't say if we weren't asking for it. Our ancestors were proud of the demon blood flowing through them. They lived their lives boasting about it and scorning those at the foot of the mountain, after all.
Bye-bye, Brad.
They struck fear into the villagers down there with their mystique and demanded gifts of dead in tribute. With that, Mion smiled for the first time, albeit in self-mockery. During the Pacific War, despite the slogans from all the country acting as one, those from Hinamizawa continued to suffer all manner of discrimination. There were too many ways to count. They would send their husbands and sons to war, and the women on the home front would suffer greatly too. My grandmother remembers it well. She remembers it being a difficult time. Even that bitterly long war, however, finally ended in 1945. Hinamizawa lost many male hands, but at last their fathers and husbands and sons returned to them. Of course, there are many who didn't come back. Nevertheless, for those in Hinamizawa who were at their limits, barely able to maintain a village without their men, their return was a very happy thing. MacArthur's GHQ set to work at drastically improving mindsets and strove to the abolition of unfair discrimination. They could feel day breaking on the dismal night that was a previous era. Hinamizawa was on the verge of turning into a ghost town. Those in the village started to say that they should rebuild it once again and got to work, trying to make the village even a little more plentiful. During that time, someone appeared who built up the fortune through a vast number of dealings in the black market. That was Mion's grandfather, the husband of the elderly current family leader, Sohei Sonozaki. Sohei said that he managed food warehouses in Harbin after he dispatched to the Chinese mainland. When it was time to pull out, he conspired with his superiors and comrades and stole a great deal of the army's canned goods. Wow. He hid them somewhere in the Seto Inland Sea and sold them widely at a high price on the black market, thus earning a fortune. Sohei didn't spend the fortune for his own pleasure either. He entrusted the entire amount to his wife, the head of the Sonozaki house. Let's revive this ruined village. All who live here are a family, and this fortune is our collective property. So he proclaimed to my grandmother, the current head of the family, that vast fortune was a huge reason why Hinamizawa was revitalized after the war. I see. With that, Hinamizawa came back to life, and that's how Sonozaki family had established its current prosperity? Yeah, but what does this have to do with killing children, you know? Of course, there were many people who begrudged the money coming from black market, but the villagers no longer minded it. They succeeded at one business venture after another. Those who succeeded freely supported those who followed them. The giant family of Hinamizawa, tied together with strong bonds, kept on expanding its influence. Sonozaki family at the center of everything would be extolled for a long time as the minds behind Hinamizawa's revitalization.
The person at the middle of all of it was your Nana, Mi-chan. That's amazing. What a great success.
Mion looked like she was honestly happy Rena had praised her. However, around 1955, the wind started blowing in the other direction again, because of the canned flesh incident. Oh god. Canned flesh? Sounded so hideous, just hearing it made me nauseous. Someone naming himself as my grandfather Sohei Sonozaki's superior confessed that those canned goods had been human flesh. Ah. Hinamizawa in a village which demons lived and ate humans. They were just about to wipe away that cursed stigma. The light they had finally started to see in their peaceful lives grew hazy and disappeared. That shocking truth, as revealed by his former superior. Stolen provisions from the old Japanese army that had a huge cornerstone for Hinamizawa's revival had been canned human flesh. Yeah, that's gotta suck. I mean, assuming everything she's saying is true. Why were there cans like that? Wasn't Sohei just a manager of food warehouses? Superior revealed that Sohei Sonozaki did not have the job of managing the food. Oh my god. In reality, Sohei's job during the war had been to exterminate pestilent mice and to transport the corpses of those with infectious diseases. It had been unfair treatment, and because of all the lowliness of his origins. As a result, though, he had returned safely without having been sent to the front lines or being detained. Perhaps it was the only fortunate thing that to happen to him. Finally, so he was enlisted as an assistant at the military medical institution. There, however, he found something even worse than low, scorned, depressing customs of Onigafuchi village, the research they were carrying out. Could that have been, well, you know, the bacteriological corps in the old Japanese army or whatever? I'm surprised that they know about that. Because, like, I thought that was, like, a secret thing that no one really talked about. But, yeah, that's a thing that actually happened.
Keiji-kun, you've heard of that?
Yeah, she's surprised.
What could it be?
I was pretty sure it was Unit 731. Yeah. How does he know? Oh my god. I'm surprised. It was a nightmare unit that devoted itself into researching terrifying bacteriological weapons to break the deadlock in the war. They used many innocent people as fodder for horrible human experiments. They methodically observed how many days a new strain would take to kill the victims, how many days it would be when injected, how many days it would be when swallowed. They dissected many people to find that out. Sometimes they wouldn't bother waiting until they were dead and dissected them while they were still alive. Now this is real. This is actually things that have actually happened. Not even in Higurashi. That's insane. They would strap them into centrifuges while still alive and crush them into decompression chambers while still alive. When live human decompresses, all the holes in their body gets pushed outward and their intestines gets pushed out of their anus like a snake winding out of it. Yep. Probably not as much as a secret as you thought. Yeah. I have a feeling I saw something like that on a documentary one time. That makes me sick. And they still hate Hinamizawa, huh? You said it. Mion agreed with me, giving a faint, sad smile. It wasn't much of a way of communication, but for some reason I was happy to have it right now. The unit Sohei was in did way kinder research than that. They were researching concrete methods for reducing the difficulty of delivering food on the battlefield. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be in the place for that. The military's designs at the start of war completely fell apart, and a chronic food shortage broke out all over the battlefront. Food shortage led to a malnutrition, and as their natural resistance is lowered, the soldiers fell to one disease after another. Spirit and morale lowered as well. They wouldn't be able to maintain their forces at this rate. Apparently, that's where the research started. At first, it was to find the methods of delivering food to battlefields. It was very broad and included things from violent methods like stealing it from citizens to survival methods like how to cook unfamiliar insects and plant life. As they were working out the details, they kept straying off course and going out of control, until they finally knocked down a door called Taboo. What do you think the easiest source of protein on the battlefield was? Yeah, makes sense. Ren and I knew the answer without being told, so we didn't answer. Again, all this isn't in the anime episode. Yeah, I didn't think it would be. I don't understand how this is important to killing children. That's right. They were researching ways to handle using humans as food. Fighting onwards, sometimes eating the flesh of enemies, and sometimes that of allies, became the ultimate service paid to their country. They were deathly serious about this doctrine. It really is a riot. My grandfather was despised as someone who ate human flesh, and yet they had gone above and beyond that. Apparently, he always thought about it too. Even he was a vulgar, man-eating demon. There are far more ugly demons than he, so no matter how much he was scorned, he wouldn't put up with it. At last, they had a handful of test prototypes. When the soldiers learned it was human flesh, however, the scientists couldn't make anyone eat it. It was apparently sent to the front lines. The cans were labeled meat substitutes, and so they wouldn't accidentally eat it themselves, they stamped the bottoms with a circle. Starved soldiers on the front lines apparently loved all the prototypes that were sent. Among them, those who cooked it in soy sauce, like it was sukiyaki, loved it the most.
Come on, Mi-chan, stop. I'm getting sick to my stomach.
Rena really was pale-faced. She looked like she was having difficulty continuing to sit on her knees. Mio looked like she had more to say, but she sighed slightly and stopped there.
Then those canned goods your grandpa brought back?
I don't know if it's true. Sohei denied it was human flesh until the day he died. However, those who begrudged Hinamizawa's sudden revival called him a savage for making a fortune selling human flesh, and the villagers began to be scorned again. They returned to a time where children would be jeered at and have rocks thrown at them. The stifling silence came back. What a seriously hopeless and sad story it was. They discriminated, were discriminated against, discriminated, and were discriminated against. Why must they attach worth and rank to it? Why can't they live without looking down on people? Why can't everyone enjoy life together? Isn't that the big question? Isn't it, Keiichi? My god, I didn't know. My grandmother, the family head, once told the children of the village this. If they throw a stone at one of you, then 2 of you must throw stones back. The children asked her, what if they threw stones at 2 of us? Of course, the answer was simple. They throw stones at 2 of you, throw them back with 4. They chase 8 of you with sticks, drive them off with 16. If they slander 3rd of you, yell back with 60. I don't think that's how the world should work. Like, numbers, I guess, but finally the children asked, what if we're attacked by 1,000 people? Even with that, the answer was simple. If 1,000 people attack you, then everyone in Hinamizawa will stand up against them. It was a manifesto to spur people into action. My grandmother rose up not only as the leader of Sonozaki House, but as the mother of Hinamizawa. It was halfway through 1955. It was a time when riots over the treaty with the US were rampant, a time with battle in action. The people of Hinamizawa joined together and fought, treating unfair discrimination towards one as a crime against them all. It didn't matter whether one was a child or an adult. If they heard that a child had been told off, then everyone would crowd the house of the perpetrator, acting as a whole. That is literally cult mentality, isn't it? If they heard an adult had been treated unfairly, men and women, young and old, would all band together and stand up against it. If you meddled with people from Hinamizawa, you would be in trouble. They probably figured that if they could make others think that, they'd win. Kei-chan, do you remember how many people came to help you when you got involved with those delinquents in town? Yes, and it was creepy AF. I recalled how much of an impression it had left on me. The people of Hinamizawa boldly came to my rescue, yet the people of Okinomiya averted their eyes so they wouldn't get involved. My grandmother fought, and my parents carried on the fight. At last, peace returned to Hinamizawa. Of course, that peace had been placed on a razor's edge. When you consider the previous 100 years of history, the tranquility now can only be called the chance interval, standing on uneven scales. Thanks, Hex! How are you, bro? There's a lot of exposition happening. Why? Could I really have an opinion on such a long and difficult history when I haven't moved here more than a year ago? Yet, I said it anyway. Why can't everyone just live in peace? What happened to those old stories of Oyashiro-sama that I heard from Takano-san? Man and demon joined hands and lived together in harmony. Didn't Oyashiro-sama remain in this world to watch over that? It's a fairy tale. I mean, that even if those people and demons were real, Oyashiro-sama who mediated them wasn't. Is that why Oyashiro-sama's curse happens? A cool gust of wind blows in from the outside, fluttering Mion's long, beautifully clear hair. Mion kept her refreshing smile without answering, and didn't even change her expression, but even that became a silent answer. So that Hinamizawa village might once more be like Onigafuchi village, so that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That was the earnest wish of our ancestors in Onigafuchi, and the mission of those who inherit the demon in the Sonozaki family. Those who inherit the demon? For generations, the Sonozaki family has had a custom of including the character for demon in the leaders' names. Yes, we know about that. If you write out my name on your hand, it would appear plain as day. I trace out the word Mion on the palm of my hand. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there. Not only in my name either. The demon is engraved on my body as well. When she said that, she quietly rose and began to lay her hand on her clothing. It's okay, Mi-chan. You don't need to show us, okay? Thank you. Just that exchange, I guessed what she meant. Most likely, somewhere on her body, there was a permanent seal, such as a tattoo or marking, that proved she inherited the demon. No awooga. No awooga here. Mion didn't sit back down. She smoothly opened the paper door onto the porch. A refreshing breeze began to cleanse the damp air filling the room. Mion quietly gazed out of the wide yard for quite a while. On her shoulders was something I could never imagine the more normal Mion carrying. It was heavy. Heavy. Truly heavy. History of Hinamizawa. No, of Onigafuchi weighing down on them. What kind of words could I possibly say to a Mion like that? Rena wasn't saying anything to her either. Only the voices of the cicadas drowned out by out the silence. At last, after a long period of nothing, Mion murmured, Look, I don't have much of a problem with all this exposition, but I do have a problem with this being the reason that she's doing all these things. Because, look, if you go back in any town, any village, anything, they will have dark histories, you know? I don't feel like this is super unique, you know? I mean, as a village. Yes, they were discriminated against for being small, but, you know, some villages... some villages are discriminated against for reasons, you know? It's fine. The serial incidents happening over the past 5 years, I was directly related to some of them, and indirectly to others. Some were not the Sonozaki family, but rather related to others, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. I think I was at the center of all of them. She said it was all without turning around, with her back to us. At some point, her tone of voice had gone back to being the Mion we knew. I have faith in what I've done, but I don't feel any guilt. If I did, perhaps it would be that I have decided to leave the stage before the heirs decided. If I'm caught, then tried in court of law, then I suppose that's how it works nowadays. Being able to retire with Hinamizawa at the most peaceful it's been in 100 years could be the happiest thing that happened to any of the Sonozaki leaders of past generations. So, killing the children saved the peace somehow. And killing the boy and the girl as well. That somehow saved the peace? I don't know. Mion leaned his shoulder against the paper door and then slid down it and flopped to the ground. It was an act of such resignation that just seeing it made me hurt inside. The numerous terrible crimes that Mion had been a part of suddenly began to fade from my mind. Hey, Mion, I don't care what happens after this. Can you just try to struggle as much as you can to try to run away? As soon as I began to think that way, Rena's ringing voice filled the room.
But Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, you killed them, didn't you, Mi-chan?
And she says that while smiling. The sharp points of her words stabbed into my chest despite not being directed at me.
I'm not saying that so it's okay if you killed other people. Regardless, Mi-chan, you killed Rika-chan and Satoko-chan.
Rena's words were more biting than any I had ever heard. Even now, though we knew the heavy history pressing down on Mion's shoulders, she had criticized her for killing our friends. Just as I bear the duty of Sonozaki family, Rika-chan bore the duty of Furude family. That duty was to protect the ritual storehouse. My chest tightened. I learned around last year that Rika-chan had said something about it. Oh, so Rika and them. Okay, gotcha. She really only went for the leaders. Yeah, true. But... still. The bars on the storehouse were too heavy for her, and she wanted to change them to simpler lock and key. Even the priest before her had complained about it being heavy. He was very aware of how hard it was for Rika-chan. I will make sure to guard it, so I want to replace the lock with something lighter. She replied on behalf of the Sonozaki leader. Ever since the string of freak incidents, there seem to be people who are insolent toward Yashiro-sama, so you wouldn't replace the lock with a simpler one. Dude, oh my god. All this straight talking has got my voice down. Don't look at me freak out. No. Alright. It's fine. I'm alright. That said, the leaders of the Kimiyoshi family, the man Kimiyoshi, old man Kimiyoshi, if that's difficult for you, Rika-chan, then I think it's okay to replace the lock, he said. The very fact that it was locked with a key was an indication of it being somewhere you mustn't enter. There's nobody bad enough to break through it and go inside, he said. Even if we were like as leaders, I couldn't find it in me to argue with old man Kimiyoshi since I owed him so much. In the end, we decided to change the lock on the storehouse. We switched to a really cheap and light padlock. Old man, is this really alright? Nana says if it's possible, we should keep the lock the same. It'll be alright. You're quite the warlord. If something happens, the old man will take all the responsibility. Do you promise? Oh god. You mean that you will take the responsibility as the leader of the Kimiyoshi family, right? You should be well aware of how sacred the things inside really are. It's okay. There aren't any bad cats in here, Mizawa, who would open the lock and break in. Cats. I see where Rika got it. Meow meow. Oh, Rika. I have not been hydrating. Sobs escaped from my mouth. Something hot and wet dripped down in spades and fell to the tatami mat. I had already heard of the thieves entering the ritual storehouse during Watanagashi festival. There were 4 of them. We decided to act within the day. At the same time, we needed to demand that the ones who allowed the thieves to break in, Rika-chan and of the Furude family, and old man Kimiyoshi take responsibility. My tears dripped and dropped. Until just now, I had decided that it was Mion's fault. That she killed Rika-chan and the others. That was wrong. No, it wasn't! It is still her fault. Like, oh my god. The one who killed them wasn't Mion. It was me. No, it hecking wasn't! Oh my god! Stop blaming yourself, Keiichi. Look, I get it, but it doesn't mean you guys should die. I might as well have killed them.
Keiichi-kun.
I had a chance to stop this tragedy from happening, and yet I didn't. Mion did nothing wrong, it was all Keiichi. Oh my god. Cheap curiosity got the better of me, and I didn't. If at the time I had stopped us from sneaking into the ritual storehouse, Rika-chan and the others wouldn't have had to die. If I had, then nothing would have happened. We would be spending our days having lots of fun like we always did. I was an idiot. If by shredding tears I could take it all back, then I would have filled up the room with them. However, such a meager act wouldn't be enough to redeem myself for the crime I've committed. Kei-chan, you're not at fault. Bio gently began to speak for me, as if trying to reason with me. As leader of the Sonozaki family, I need to act. But given the history of Sonozaki family, thinking about it now, it's no big deal. Maybe I should have saved my friends, even if it meant casting all that aside. I yielded to it, and that's why I killed those 2. I, Mion Sonozaki, and nobody else, killed them. Thank you, Mion! Finally! Oh my god. Finally admitting it. Huh? I had hundreds of chances to stop it, but I didn't stop. I gave in to the easy role that was handed to me, and abandoned all thought of fighting for my friends. So this is my crime. I killed them. Mion Sonozaki, with these hands, killed them. And nothing whatsoever changed. Nothing. Her masochistic laughter was sad. Especially because Mion boasted in the club that she would turn the tables on whatever predicaments presented themselves. It was so painful.
Still, Mi-chan, you saved one person of your own volition.
Huh? As I looked at her, surprise, Retta stuck her finger right at my forehead.
You left Keiichi-kun alive. As strong as you are, Mi-chan, it would have been no trouble for you, but you didn't kill him.
Yeah, you didn't. Not yet. Not yet. That's right. Mion was so cunning that nobody could stand up to her, even in our club. If she had seriously tried to kill me, I would have been dealt with on the very first night. So many people had been sacrificed, but I was always left out in the cold. When did I first realize it? Even though people were disappearing one after the other, for some reason I had this vague belief that only I would be left alive. Why didn't I kill him? As a demon, I can't even begin to guess. Maybe Mion had some reason she didn't want to kill you? What's that supposed to mean? Mion put a finger to her lips to say that Rena didn't need to talk. Oh.
Is Oichi-san waiting outside? Yes.
Any way out?
No. They said they have the place surrounded. It seemed like they called a lot of cars over the radio. I think they have an entire property surrounded.
Mion fell silent. Rena's merciless words felt cruel. They weren't meant to be. Maybe they were trying to lessen her good friend's pain, if only by a little. Maybe they were considerate, like she was trying to help. Please, turn yourself in. Mion didn't open her mouth, but she smiled just a little.
We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend by herself.
Crying children and Ren are the only things I can't beat. She rose, scratching her head. Her face had returned entirely to that of the usual Mion. I'm well aware of how serious my own crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here. I couldn't say anything. The number of deaths Mion was involved in was just too large. So much that maybe recommending that she turn herself in was, in a way, extremely cruel. So I'd like you to hear one last selfish request. Let me kill you.
What is it?
30 minutes is fine. Just let me have some time alone with Kate. No? No? Huh? My name suddenly came up and looked like I was the only one surprised about it.
Kiichi-kun, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, then I won't make you.
You're right. It's okay if you don't want to. After all, I'm a demon, and Kei-chan is a bona fide human who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible, as long as a Yashiro-sama doesn't exist to mediate, simply isn't possible. There's no reason for me to hesitate. Mion had been engulfed by a heavy, unstoppable tradition. Unopposable. Right now, the duty of handling this had fallen to me, and me alone. In fact, with me cornered, it would have been okay for her to blame me. However, Mion didn't say one word of blame. Far from it. I was guilty of the same crime, and she let me go. Amidst the fate she could not oppose, she saved me alone. I didn't know whether I should be thankful for that. Thinking upon it now, I didn't know how much easier it would be if I were to be granted the same punishment as Rika-chan and the others. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had an equal duty to bear, the sins that Mion shouldered. So when it came to Mion's last request, there was no reason for me to hesitate. Are you serious? Is Keiichi literally going to let Mion kill him? Like, sure, it's fine. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you too, Keiichi-kun.
Rena stood up. Looked like she would keep her promise with Mion and leave. Ah, it's fine, Rena. You can wait right here. I just wanted to go around the yard with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room. You can read any manga you like. I doubt Mion wants to kill Keiichi now. Watch me be wrong. Yeah. And if there are any volumes you like, you might as well take them.
I don't want to. Michan's books belong to Michan. Rena couldn't bring them back home with her so freely.
You're such a good kid. Only at times like this. Mion took Rena's head and rubbed it violently like I always did. Okay, let's go, Kei-chan. Began to walk after Mion, who headed to the hallway, while Rena silently stopped me.
Take care of Michan.
Yeah.
Michan really does believe she won't ever be able to come back.
I didn't know much about laws, but with as many deaths as she'd been involved in, the chances of her escaping a heavy punishment seemed non-existent.
Watch out so you make her lose her temper, okay?
Oh, okay, now that's a fair warning. Mion might not surrender herself to justice, so I might put an end to it myself. Ren had already thought that far ahead. Right. I won't let that happen. Rena rubbed at her tears, which had fallen without me noticing them.
Okay, then go after her.
I nodded and followed Mion, who had disappeared out the front door. I could clearly hear Rena sobbing from the other side of the paper door. Why was Michan made to be a successor to demons? Maybe it just happened to be this way. It just had to happen that way. But it's just so awful. Something hot burned down my cheeks. They were my tears. Fiercely wiped them away. This was the last of my time I could offer to Mion, so I absolutely didn't want to let her see my tears during it. Mion was already waiting outside the front door. put on my shoes, tapped my toes against the floor a few times, and then left. Then Mio timidly came over. Why is she turning all red at a time like this? Can I hold your arm? It was such a modest request. I don't mind. With my permission, her face lit up with glee, like a child being given a toy, and took my arm. Do you get kind of nervous with your arm through mine? Oh my god. Wow. You're not thinking, for example, that I'd suddenly put you in a world-class joint lock or anything. You two say the same things. I don't think that. At all. Back then, nothing had gone wrong yet. During those nostalgic days of the bustle and commotion at Angel Mart, I counted back and was amazed. It had only been 1 week ago. I had been arm in arm with Shion then, too. Linking arms with Mion like this really reminded me that they were twins. How much strength they put into it, the sensation of their arms, their warmth, and the blood flowing. I could feel that their living sensations were all exactly the same. Yes, because that's how people feel, Keiichi. I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan. I see. If this were a regular conversation, I might have jumped back, red in the face. Right now, though, no matter what I heard, my mind remained at peace. Mion and Shion, you get along well, didn't you? Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along? Huh? My right hand and left hand? I don't think you could describe them as getting along or not. That's how our relationship is. Can't measure it by the scale of how well we're getting along. That didn't sound like it meant they got along really well. For example, one of your hands is dominant, so there'll always be a better hand. If you only had one of them, you would put on your dominant hand without thinking, right? Thinking maybe it was like that for us. Ah, I see. That doesn't mean, though, that anyone would be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship. Then what happened to Shion? I think that maybe you live too close together and just stopped being able to see it, but I think that means you get along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous of you and Shion were messing around with each other. I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun playing tricks on people. Yeah, but I felt like it would be different since they were literally family. But I guess nothing really matters. If they do something bad, then... Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun playing tricks on people. But now that we have such distinctly different personalities, it just gets in the way. Were they cursed or were they self-conscious? Their relationship was hard to understand for an outsider. Maybe that wasn't an issue for someone like me should intrude on. Just staying silent and nodding gently was the best way to advance the conversation. Mion passed through the wide yard and invited me into the big desolate forest we'd seen on the way in. Such a big forest was part of their property, so I couldn't help but feel small. It's huge. You must have had a great time playing in it as kids, huh? Mion seemed silently reminiscing. Couldn't look into her mind, but she was probably thinking back to those fun days when they played as sisters without antagonism. Every time the wind blew, it caressed the treetops and leaves, making a swishing, murmuring sound. Mion remained silent for a long time, thinking back on her younger sister, whom she had gotten rid of with her own hands. There was no need for me to get a word in. Just walking like this, arm in arm, was enough. No, that's kind of wholesome. Mion suddenly stopped and turned. Shion is still alive. Really? Mion took a hard look into my eyes and nodded quietly. Yeah. I've been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I had her locked up. What? Are you serious? No. Oh, you have to be joking. I never did think of a good way to do it, though. Mion sounded as though she hated Shion, but also deep down didn't really detest her. Didn't completely detest her. So I took her other hand and rustled Mion's hair with it. Mion didn't only save me, she saved Shion too. Mion may have become a demon and led many people to their deaths. Imagine thinking someone's dead without seeing a body. Shut up. I know. But technically we didn't see any bodies, so... Mion may have become a demon and led many people to their deaths, but she fought against it and was able to save 2 people. And I petted Mion. She narrowed her eyes in an entranced smile. and entangled her arm from mine. Then Mion quietly said,
"Come with me. I want you to see all my sins."
"Oh my god."
Although, Kei-chan, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen.
I could sense it. They would probably find all the sacrifices up until now. Looking at them would mean accepting Rika-chan and Satoko's deaths. As well as accepting that my best friend had done it. It's already happened, and it's in the past. You can choose not to look, Kei-chan.
If you don't want to, then wait here. I'll personally end everything.
I was taken aback about how ominous that sounded. I remembered what Ren had told me. Mion might not surrender herself to justice, but instead choose to putting an end to things herself. Ah. Couldn't leave her on her own. Besides, I agreed to her last request, didn't I? Even if it was hard for me to accept, I'd still do it. Even if I avoided looking, it was something that had already happened. It doesn't matter what I see.
Yes?
Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have, even if she killed a lot of people. That won't change. It never will. Treetops softly swayed in the wind. You and Rena both. Why do you only get really cool at times like this? Normally I'd say something rude right back at her, evading the question, but today I didn't. I just answered with a smile. At last, Mion started walking. Into the thick forest, into the deepest part. After following a thin path that looked like an animal trail for a while, finally came across a steep incline with a tunnel that reminded me of a coal mine or a bomb shelter. We were surrounded by shallow hills. It had been created in a spot not visible from the outside. There were many silhouettes of crows in the trees here and there. The abnormal odor I'd been smelling for a while was doubtlessly escaping from inside this place. If you want to turn back, now is your chance. I don't know what kind of person Mion Sonozaki is to you, but if you go inside, that Mion will probably... Yeah, it's fine. She won't change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. I clenched my fists. Inside there was probably a sight beyond anything I could imagine. If I let my guard down, I might end up vomiting. Even so, I'll endure it. I'll overcome this pain and this suffering. It will never change that Mion is my greatest friend.
I'm nothing more than a demon, so I don't understand human feelings anymore. I have a feeling, though, that I know why Mion fell in love with you.
Don't say like it's not related to you. You're Mion. You're not a demon. You're a human with human blood, and you're my friend. Aw, that's nice. Mion made a gesture like she was wiping her tears from her eyes, then placed a hand on the big door of the tunnel entrance. The lock on it was dauntingly strong-looking. It seemed to demand the appropriate resolution from whoever would enter, just like the ritual storehouse. When the double doors opened, a stifling rotten air and a bunch of winged insects came rushing out. Ew. I remembered accidentally killing a hermit crab a long time ago and leaving its tank out on the porch, and how intense the odor it left was. Wow. It was the smell of a corpse, and that's certainly what this smelled like. Inside it was pitch black, but Mion flipped a switch that turned on like a light bulb. That turned on a light bulb, illuminating the interior. The path turned into a series of intricate wooden tunnels. We passed spaces that looked like they were for storage. Past places that looked like someone had lived there. All this indicated it had been used for a bomb shelter and stockpile during the war. It didn't give an impression of a dugout bomb shelter that had just been left there, though. There was a strong sense of dignity, as though they were a second Sonozaki house constructed underground. Despite being in a pitch darkness below the ground, the voices of the cicadas were entering through an air hole somewhere, giving it a very mysterious feel.
Oh god. You saw it was in the ritual storehouse, right?
Piles of torture instruments? All of them were created to uphold the strict religious laws of Onigafuchi village. There were tools used to kill those who broke the laws in terrible ways as a warning to others. That was a long time ago. Watanagashi, originally a ritual meant as a deterrent, was once overseen by the three families. Thanks to Kimiyoshi and Furude families going into decline, and the way times changed, actually carrying out became difficult. I can imagine why. You'd never think people would be okay with drowning people in a swamp and killing them in modern Japan.
That's why the Sonozaki family built this. A secret place so we could continue to conduct the rite of Watanagashi, even in modern times.
Yeah. Mion opened a large, strikingly different door. Inside was none other than a modern storehouse for ritual implements. Okay. There's quite a few, isn't there? Some of them were actually brought here from the original storehouse. All of them things that had been rusty and covered in dust, so they didn't seem that real, but the things in here were different. Every one of them had been well maintained and kept in a state that would be used right away. Blades gleamed and spikes were sharpened, also perhaps a precaution for the splatter of blood. The walls and ceilings were covered in a kind of tilting you'd see in bathrooms. There even a drain set amidst the slight slope in the floor. There's also a coiled rubber hose along the wall attached to a faucet, perhaps for cleaning up the splattered blood. According to something a leader from a long time ago wrote, blood splatter has impact, despite the fact that it doesn't tax the sacrifice. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent, after all. My ancestors thought of all kinds of different things to show off. As she said that, Mion pointed deeper into the torture room to a spot veiled in darkness. There, surprisingly, a room floored with tatami mats, and in the corner of the pile was a pile of cushions. Their seats for the audience. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent, after all. It wouldn't make sense if there were no guests. God. I couldn't speak. I just couldn't think of anything to say anyway. Except that if Mion revealing all this to me made her heart feel any lighter, then I was prepared to listen for as long as I needed to. Right here is where I killed everyone. Oh, God. There's no spectators to watch me, but I did the Watanagashi very well. Well, perhaps there is one spectator. Huh? Spectator. Me. I, the demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the Watanagashi ceremony. Mion cackled in self-deprecation. It wasn't a nice-sounding laugh. Back there is a prison. Is Shion there? She nodded slightly. Mion's Watanagashi ended today. I needed to tell Shion that I was safe without a moment's delay. After all, she was probably trembling in fear at this very moment, worrying about when she would be killed. The ostentatious door on the other side opened, revealing what must have been an incredibly expansive space based on the echo it made. Mion groped around in the darkness, and a handful of naked light bulbs came on here and there. Whoa. As my eyes adjusted, more and more of the great cave showed itself in a faint light. The walls were a bare rock surface, and I felt so savage that bomb shelter was the most apt term for it. There were small barred rooms built here, and there, like holes made by insects biting their way through a giant piece of fruit. It was immediately clear that each one of them was a prison. Where is everyone? Rika-chan and Satoko? Their corpses? Yeah. I grimaced at her having said it so outright. Yeah, that's right. The poor things being left here in the darkness like this. I didn't want them to get infested with bugs, so I threw them down the well. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I can't even see their faces in death. Once again, my feelings of regret at having confessed everything to Rika-chan came surging forth. If Mion hadn't attached the word sorry to the end of what she said, I might have punched her. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. You said it yourself. No matter what, Mion Sonozaki is your greatest friend. Yeah, my greatest friend. Needed to hear myself say it out loud. I came to the clattering of the bars in one of the cells deeper in. When I noticed it, I looked up as well. Shion? Shion? Is that Shion? Kei-chan? Is that you, Kei-chan? I ran over to the cell. White hands were peeking out through the gaps in the bars. It really was her. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt? No. Shion's face twisted out of shape as she screamed. It was because Mion had appeared right behind me. Of course. Shion didn't know that everything was over yet. Calm down, Shion. Everything is already over. Everything. Spoken as calm as I could manage to try and soothe the agitated Shion. However, it didn't seem like it was getting through her screams. Shion, how have you been? No more, please. No more. I don't want to see anyone else die. If you hate me, then just kill me already. I'm the one you hate, right? Kill me right now. Sis. Calm down, Shion. It's all over now. It's going to be alright, so calm down. Shion, who was screaming and rattling the iron bars back and forth, was truly in a frantic state. Gave a slight shrug of resignation, giving away to Mion. I'd realized that if Mion was the one who locked her in here, and if Mion who had scared Shion this much, then Mion was also the only one who could put an end to this. Mion spoke from over my shoulder, quietly. Relax. I won't kill you. No, I won't kill you just yet. That's what I thought. I freaking knew it. No surprise. No surprise at all. She burst out into a bizarre laugh, as if trying to make Shion's madness even worse. Shion broke out in a fierce shiver brought on by that laugh, and rattled the iron bars as she wailed. Please stop! Don't kill Kei-chan! Kei-chan has nothing to do with this, does he? If you're going to kill someone, then kill me right now! I don't want anyone else to die! If you want to die that badly, then after I've killed this man, I'll take my time making mincemeat out of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your extremities. I'll shave you down and mince you. I had that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Or would it be funnier if I were to mince up Kei-chan in front of you? Oh my god! I didn't think she would go all out, but Jesus Christ. Hey, quit it already! What do you have to gain by scaring her at this point? Keiichi! Keiichi, honey! Keiichi, can you not tell that she's being serious? Oh my god. No! Kei-chan, run away! I tried to rebuke Mion for flinging terrible words at her at this late in the game, but when I turned around, Mion's mouth, so much that it was hard to believe, had twisted into a shape even thinner than a crescent moon. It was a smile. I could sense it like a jolt of electricity. The person there wasn't my best friend Mion. It wasn't the Mion Sonozaki who had been tossed about by their heavy duty of succeeding the Sonozaki family either. Yeah, he literally did. Then, who was she? But bam! Saw sparks flying before my eyes, like what happens when you get hit in the back of the head. Strength in my body drained instantly and my head became heavy. My knees buckled under the temptation and hit the floor. Then my whole body abruptly collapsed. My face should have been hit the floor, but it was comfortable, as if it had fallen into a down-filled futon. My consciousness reeled and then receded. It was a kind of sensation, like if you took a nap in the car, but you were still half awake, and could listen to your parents talking as if they were far away. No, you wouldn't be listening, you would only be hearing it. It was happening so far away, and the conversation was completely unrelated to you, so you had no interest in it. So whether Shion was yelling in my ears or Mion was in vulgar hysterics, I didn't think it was annoying, nor did it interest me. Now then, I wonder how I should go about preparing you. Oh yes, what'd you think of a bed of nails? I tested out on the two little brats, but their hands were too small for the restraining table. Oh my god! That is so cruel. Let's do that, let's do that! Mion held me up from behind and dragged me across the floor, as well as my feet scraped on it, and one of my shoes fell off. No! Please stop, sis! Please stop! Shion's emotions exploded outward as she burst into bitter weeping. As if her crying had whetted Mion's interest, she flung me down and returned me to the prison cell again. Ma, you sure can cry with a cute voice, can't you? Your natural bravado makes my skin crawl, but this definitely suits you the best. Mion, my big sister, I beg you. Don't care how you choose to kill me, but please at least let Kei-chan go. I'm begging you. Shion had always acted as though she were cut above her older sister. That Shion has such a miserable voice that I couldn't have imagined it during those peaceful times. Prostrated herself before her older sister, she used to scoff at and plead forgiveness. Mion looked down at the expression of cool indifference. With the expression of cool indifference, one that was plainly smiling with joy. You know, I wasn't planning on listening to your petty wishes. The way you're crying, though, is just too funny. I think maybe I'll change my mind and listen to you. Since, come to think of it, I never did anything big sister-like for you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Alright then, let's hear you apologize for everything. Then maybe I'll let it all be wander under the bridge. And maybe I'll let Kei-chan go. Mion said she might let me go, but she never said anything about letting Shion go. Before long, Shion got on her hands and knees behind the bars and began to speak weak words of apology. They were too faint for me to hear, but their intention got across. Despite having watched her with magnificently jubilant expression, Mion kicked the bars and declared she was unsatisfied. Oh, you really think you can make up with years of grudges and hard feelings like that? That just will not do. That just will not do. That just will not do. I guess I'll make a mincemeat out of you both! No! Wait, sis! One more chance! One more chance! Mion stopped and waved her hand again in resignation. Not because she had grown impatient, but only because she was taking delight in abusing Shion. You can't apologize to my satisfaction anyway. I'll teach you how to make an apology that will get through to your older sister. I'm only going to tell you once, and if you get a letter wrong, you're out. Got it? Yes. Yes. Thank you, sis. Oh. Shion's miserable voice cried out, having become utterly hoarse. Like mine. The sensation tearing through my chest returned a little at a time. I realized his feelings of anger bubbling up. I was slowly regaining control of my body. However, I was only able to feel my skin and my blood flowing at the moment. Still couldn't voluntarily move my fingers. Did you memorize it? Then let's hear you say it. Sincerely and faithfully, from beginning to end, with all your heart. If you can't do it properly, then I'll only kill you. If you can do it properly. Yes, thank you so much. Something was strange. Something had become strange at some point. Till just a few moments ago, I was sure this had been Mion, but at some point, she had become someone else. Mion I knew well would never do something so nasty like enjoying trampling all over someone's dignity like this. Are you sure about that? Now, let's hear it. Your big sister's listening closely. Shion Sonozaki is... When I ran over to Shion's cell earlier, I had a real thing switched out with a fake one. Had the real thing been switched out with a fake right behind me? Anyway, this couldn't possibly be Mion. Shion Sonozaki is a lowly, worthless sound, not fit to even lick her big sister Mion's feet. Oh, God. And when I think of the countless times I've been rude to my big sister without knowing my place. Yes, that's the spirit. I'll permit you to say a little more now, okay? Blood circulated throughout my whole body. My numb senses were returning. Just a little more. While Shion is still holding Mion's, no, that thing pretending to be Mion's attention. Hurry up. I reflect on the impertinent I've been, and swear loyalty to my big sister Mion for the rest of my life. So, Oh God, Mion's burst of laughter echoed through the big cave, growing to a terrifying level. That was not the laugh of someone who was alive in this world. It was none other than the laugh of a demon from the bowels of the earth. She laughed from her stomach until she grew tired of it and stopped smiling suddenly, as if snipping a wire. Alright already. That was funny enough for me. I didn't think you'd throw away that much of your pride. That was plenty enjoyable. Mion began to drag me again after I finally got the feeling in my body back and pulled me towards the torture chamber. Sis! Only kill me! Please, forgive him! Don't worry, alright? I'll be sure to kill you real good. After letting you get an earful of Kei-chan's screams, that is. No! After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me into the restraining table. I can't believe this is happening. Before I knew it, I was sprawled out and bound. She forced open my hands, to which I couldn't even make a satisfying fist, and tightly restrained each one of my fingers. She fastened only my hands, and my fingers at that tightly with hinges locked them into place. Sis, don't kill him! Sis! The door to the big cave with the jails had been left open so I could hear Shion's cries of mortification the entire time. Can you hear it, Shion? I'm gonna get started now. Please enjoy Kei-chan's young screams. Give it a fucking rest. Oh my god. The feeling my body returned, and the first action I took was to tell off the thing that looked like Mion. Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie. Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside it she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that she began to line up what looked like long, strangely shaped nails whose ends had been turned into hooks, like the kind you see on a harpoon. I'll let her hear the screams of all those people that died because of her, and all after they've soaked it into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've got pretty good taste, huh? Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Has the fear driven you crazy? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion Sonozaki. Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, who am I? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kei-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear? Don't touch me, you damn demon! Give her back! Give Mion back! My best friend, give Mion back! Mion stood there for a few moments with her jar hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonetheless to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me. But, this person right in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There's no way I could accept that. So this is what I thought. Mion had really had been possessed by a demon, was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. It was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one is really this thing. It had all to be the doing of this demon possessing her. Oh god. When Mio heard that, she started to guffaw, laughing so hysterically she started to cough and almost choked. You really are a piece of work, you know that? This very moment, Mion Sonozaki is trying to kill you, and you're trying to reject me? I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world. If you want to laugh, do it all you want. No matter what you say, though, I won't accept that you're Mion. Give her back. Away with you, demon. I cannot do her laughs justice at all. Go to the anime for that, or the voice acting. Kei-chan, are you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears? Oh my god. Wahaha. Ha 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 ha. No matter what, I won't lose to that no matter what, I won't lose to that laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart so that the real Mion trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me would be able to hear. Oh? You can do it, Mion. Don't lose to this piece of shit demon. You're strong. Show me how strong you are. Oh my god. Wahaha. The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with the restraint, so she couldn't even wipe them. She just let them flow. Please, Mion. Mion! Where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose. Fight. Fight! Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails into the tip of my left pinky. Her left hand was the hammer. At her side were dozens more nails. I could tell what she was about to do, though I wish I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted. My sides hurt like they're about to split! Is that all? I'm going to get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing you, Kei-chan, but I'm torturing Shion as well. Why? Why? Why would you... Mion! Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't in acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet, a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining, little by little. By the time I realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion. Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem to want to know, though, so I'll tell you just one thing. I didn't know if this was Mion, or just a display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered.
A long time before the demon came to live inside me, I was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me into violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. That settled the demon down, and I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me, it had just gone to sleep. I noticed that there were tears forming in her eyes. The demon woke up again during a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? There was a sad yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes. Do you understand? I don't. I do. Keiichi, you big stupid. I don't know what gave the demon the chance to beat Mion. Keiichi, use your brain for 2 seconds. This might be strange for me, a demon, to say, but you're the reason everything got so messed up. Me? Wait, was it because Mion fell in love? The tears were welling up in her eyes, spilled downward all of a sudden. At the time, if you had given me that doll without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted. Yeah, what the heck? I knew that this was the thing that caused everything to go wrong because I saw spoilers in YouTube anime. I watched this show in the anime version on YouTube back in the day, and the comments always had spoilers. And this is something that they said. That doll was the thing that got everything so twisted. The doll I got? That doll I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that Sunday. You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But you see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. I knew, yeah, exactly. It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one since it was so small. But you're the one who set it up. That can't... Me? If you hadn't made Mion cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough? For you to die in peace? A mistake that I made on that day was what messed everything up. That can't be, can it? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you're without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have ever happened. I wanted to say, like I just remembered something, as I recalled that day. Ren had told me about that, and I thought I had apologized. I didn't apologize to Mion, though. It had been Shion. Yep. In other words, oh god. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house saying I had said something to apologize for, but I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologized for going into the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize it until just now? Ren had told me at that time, and now she herself, no, the demon was telling me. Is the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured, to die altogether? I could no longer hold back the hot tears pouring out of me. Simply just cried and reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears, on the taste of regret. Can I start now then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint on the end of your left pinky finger. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. Then I'll go back to your pinky and nail it into the joint in the middle. So on until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. When that's over, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There's a lot more nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you can imagine. Yeah. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so... press the tip of the nail into my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, all the joints of my fingers were strapped in so tightly it hurt. I couldn't even twitch. I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now? This will satisfy your demon, Mion. I'll satiate the demon, then do what you want, then do what you will. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Are you serious? Are you serious? Keiichi, I mean...
Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to have me to make up for her crime sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? After all this, you can still worry about Shion more than yourself. The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know Mion will still get punished for it though, you know? She'll live her rest of her life in heckin' prison. You know? Are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more? That's a shame. In such an abnormal situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together as if sharing in this stupid joke. Probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. I guess there's nothing I can do then. I recalled tightening my hands into fists when during the pain at the dentist's office. Right now, though, they were opened all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Oh. Okay. Do it. I prepared myself already. So do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails in is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hander and gently stroked my cheek. Kei-chan, I'll agree to just the third thing, okay? Huh? My third wish. To save me. She'll agree to it? Your first wish? To save Shion? That's long done for. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. Let's give up on that. Her delicate fingertips slid from my cheek to my chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it will just be a body. Because the Oni has taken it over. Do they accidentally not translate that, or is it supposed to be different? That isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things, like that she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound? Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. The cicadas. Slam, slam. Oh, it was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals, a low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming the iron doors to the underground ritual storehouse. You're late, so Rena probably called Oishi. That spaced out girl being so quick thinking was one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned like she'd been outwitted, then took something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. She pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise. Probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegal, and its output has been increased quite a bit. Was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know. You're right. She seemed to want to use the stun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam. I heard a roar as though they'd broken down the first large door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way. I won't kill you, but I'll have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. Oishi will be here soon. This will only hurt a bit. Feeling the same shock as before. Gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did when she was about to hammer in the nails, she hesitated a little, cracked open my tightly closed eyelids. I'm sorry for disgracing Mion. I made a promise before coming in here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then, it will be the demon that inherited my corpse. What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that, a much stronger light than before shined. Like a television being switched off, my consciousness went black. Oof. Well, there he goes. June 1983. A string of disappearances occurred in Himizawa Village, Shishibone City. Suspect is Mion Sonozaki, something years old. She is suspected of kidnapped 5 Himizawa residents between June 19th and June 21st. All of those guys. Imprisoned them and killed them. Preliminary investigations of the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but resolved coincidentally and shockingly. On the morning of the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect missing's younger sister and her 2 missing classmates. And, yeah, the suspect fled the scene. Deep in the detached basement of Sonozaki property, which were believed to have been used to kill those who had disappeared, her discovered air, flakes of skin, blood, etc. from the 4 missing persons. We concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber, however their remains have still not been found. At one of their imprisoned classmates' advice, we continued searching the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which was where they were imprisoned, believing they were there. However, they have still not located them or the suspect. In addition, investigations continue as to her participation in serial freak deaths instead of recent years, thinking it would have been some clue, but no evidence that Mio Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There's still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, as of those Sonozaki family and the residents of Himizawa had been extremely uncooperative and blah 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 blah. The opinion of the local officer knowledgeable about the region says this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishment, sacrilegious acts against carried freaking. Can you read? Can you read this instead? Anticipating. I can't, man. I can't. Just read. Just read. I can't. Oh my god. Okay. Shion got the mad PTSD. Oh my god. Only a few days passed since that time. After that, I was rescued by Oichi-san and his subordinates, whom Rena had called in. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from when the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup at the hospital, Oishi-san asked me all sorts of things, but I don't really remember what he asked or how I answered him. From what I heard, surprisingly, Mion still hadn't been captured. There were apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out the depths of the prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled into one of those and hidden herself. The one fortunate aspect amidst all this misfortune is that Shion had been safely secured by the police. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me with her and kill me. She probably didn't have enough time to, though. Oishi-san came running in faster than she predicted. That was the only real fortunate thing to have happened. Of course, the rescued Shion, despite having no external wounds, now had a big, deep wound in her heart. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what he heard, she was seeing Mion in everyone she saw, hated not only the hospital, but even her own home, and had shut herself up somewhere in Shishibone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. Wherever she was living, even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. Wow. Oh my god, I need to take a little break. Just hold on. Can we talk a little bit? Just little small break. God, that was a lot. Detailed as always. It's freaking amazing. But, dude. So, Mion didn't get caught. She freaking fled. How far are we to the end? Because, boy, I don't know how much longer I can take. Surprised Mion killed her grandma. Did she really? I mean, how was she involved? If she approved the, wonder if we learn why. Did she approve the lock thing, maybe? I don't... This is the end, actually. Okay, cool. We can continue then. Not quit. How do I go back? Police were investigating Sonozaki's underground storehouse at this moment. Since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices, hadn't Mion thrown in the corpses into the well? Had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant a hidden tunnel vertically like a well was somewhere in those underground passages. Secret underground, without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan, Satoko, and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to the basement again, too, for an on-the-site inspection or something, but I didn't remember being any help. I never wanted to go back there again. For days afterwards, Sonozaki's living in Okonomiya, in other words, Mio Nishio's parents, the big-name Yakuza, would come to our house to apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However, my parents refused it. They piled up many 100,000 yen bills, calling it consolation money, every day. The amount of money grew each day, and after it passed 2 million yen, they were given an envelope containing a letter. I didn't know what was written in the letter. My parents talked about it by themselves for 2 whole nights, and decided to move away. Yeah, I would too.
I see. You're moving, huh? When?
The end of next month. I won't even have been in Hinamizawa for half a year.
I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left.
Yeah, legit, she is the only one left. Just have Rena move with us. Rena smiled sadly. If I had just said yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject. Here's something to think about. That's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled, but had been demoned away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there, where she had disappeared to? I had hoped there was a hobby shop dealing in imports, the kind Mion liked. In that place, she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family, and live not as Mion Sonozaki, but as just Mion, and enjoy herself. Maybe she's already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Ren and I would join them, spending all their time doing club activities, as lively as they always were. And when I told Rena that, she smiled and nodded to me. Now get ready to be really confused. Oh, great. The incidents of the Sonozaki family have been trying so hard to hide too were exposed to magazines from this single tiny seam. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up like a long vine in the ground, one by one, and for many days news of it was brought up to talk on and variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been bearing. It made me mad to see them bringing all this stuff up in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big an impression would these short few weeks I spent in Yumizawa have on my life? During these few weeks, I met my best friends and had the best experiences of my life. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. Yeah, probably not. As for the distorted image of Mio that the media had created, if the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up, throw her in the trash, she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who knew the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her. Beyond any doubt, that will surely become my offering to her. The sky reached so far up, and towering cumulonimbus clouds floated through it. The real summer was just before our eyes. Even now, whenever 10 p.m. came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion, or Mion rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. But I was precisely because she wouldn't call me, but that I was scared of who would call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. Couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought like that, I was able to sleep, even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. Before, her attacking when the lights were off was something that scared me. However, that feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlight, flittering through the gap in the curtains, shone onto the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right, the doll that I should have given to Mion that day. She said it was an import from England or something and was all the rage, didn't she? What Shion had said was most popular among them were the one wearing fluffy dresses. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was that toy store. Everything was apparently sold out besides the thing on the storefront displays. I was refused once when they said they wouldn't sell display products, but when they realized I was Survivor A from that incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have the chance to give it to her again. Even knowing that, I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. Waited like this, for the opportunity, with it on the desk so I could give it to her at any time. Plonk. It was a weird noise. A noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound of lost bugs make when they ram into fluorescent lights. I must have misheard and nestled back into my futon. Plunk. Noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where, though? I listened carefully. Plunk. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. I realized they weren't being blown there by the wind, rather being shown by a person. I gave a start. Yeah, we're gonna watch the anime after the stream's done. The 4 episodes of the arc, anyway. I looked at the clock. It was 2 a.m. Who would be at a time like this? I quietly peek out front through the gap in the curtains. In the light at the gate, despite being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it out this window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? Mion. Caught my breath in surprise. My eyes weren't deceiving me. That person was Mion. They opened the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion. It was Mion. She was alive. Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a shh motion so I wouldn't shout. She hadn't. Well, I'm nearly about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was the middle of the night, I shouldn't even call out her name. I waved to her, gesturing I'd be right over, flung on my coat atop my pajamas, and threw out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although happiness was sprouting within me, I had the sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to my room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a God, I didn't think I would ever thank him as much as today. Even if it would be the last time we ever saw each other. I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I slipped into my sandals, unlocked the door, and unlocked the chain, and leaped out of the house. Mion. It's been a while. How are you? Been doing alright? No, suffering with severe PTSD. How are you doing? It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved to me and responded like she always did. It was doubtlessly Mion. It was the real Mion. Are you alright hanging around this place? I really shouldn't be. She certainly wasn't acting like she knew the police were following her. It's almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and had snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that, and I couldn't help be surprised. That relaxation, I thought, was more like Mion, and I was happy for it. Anyway, what's wrong? What do you need at this hour? I wanted to talk to you one last time. That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. Her expression, too, which I thought would be a satisfied smile, upon closer inspection, trembling slightly, then I realized she was forcing it. Well, I can't stay for any longer. Pain note was beginning to enter her words as well, as if smiling was a feat for her. Are you alright? Are you not feeling well? I tried so hard until now, but I can tell I'm done. This is my limit. They're about to come up behind me to take me away. Mion's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. Did she push herself this much to come all this way for me? Our laughter cut off and changed to a rough breathing. Reached out to rub her back and she knocked me away. Are you okay? Don't force yourself. Oh, that's right. I had something to give you, Mion. This doll. I had wanted to do this one last thing, because I knew how little time you had left. This last thing, it... Ah, well, when you mess with Mion, my stomach is burning. Mion took a meat cleaver-like knife and stabbed me, pushed it in tight, and took it and twisted it. Mion, hey, what? It hurts. I made it! I made it! I cowered on the ground. My stomach was so hot, I was almost spewing fire. Mion watched it, then took a few steps back and cackled. Oh, God. I've done it! I've done it all! That's everyone I wanted to kill! Oh my God. You didn't keep your promise. Last words Mion left me that day came back to me. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, a body is all it will be. By then, the demon will have taken it over. The demon. The demon. The demon. Me. Oh. This can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Mion. In a pool of blood of my own design is the doll I bought for Mion. Dyed in red. So red. Mion. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Mion once more. And the misfortune of that meeting being torn apart before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, as my consciousness sucked deeper into a black swamp. The doll I bought for Mion, the blood, had ruined it. No matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed, it had needlessly been ruined. Ruined. The sad moon was so white, it looked frozen. God. June 29th, 1983. A violent incident occurred in Higurashi village, Shishibone City, Prefecture. Victim was Keiichi Maribara, also a victim in the previous string of disappearances. Around 2 a.m., he was stabbed in the stomach with a bladed object by the suspect of the last cause and was gravely wounded. He was discovered when his parents woke up and then transported to the clinic. He escaped to death. Yes! God bless. Criminal fled the scene. Not bless. On the same day, at approximately the same time, a fall incident occurred in the Kamishiki apartment complex in Shishibone City. Victim was Shino Sonozaki, a victim of the previous string of disappearances. Late on the same night, neighbors overheard her having a fight with someone and informed the manager. Manager used the master key to enter the room, discovered the victim has fallen from her Shion! The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbor frequently visited the Sonozaki house for a long time and testified that he heard just like two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. We believe this to be related to the injury case that occurred on the same day in Higumizawa village. Perpetrated by the incident suspect. We did a thorough search of the room. We could not find any traces that would imply anyone but the victim was present. The victim fell straight down into the foliage of the parking strip. Her neck broke. She died immediately. Clothing was disheveled and had markings that would imply a scuffle. We also believe, however, it could have been insanity-induced suicide attempt based on the particular mental state of the victim after the incident. We are conducting a thorough examination on both fronts, suicide and homicide. Higurashi, when they cry. When we cry. sad. And it keeps going. No, is this it? Only 5 more minutes. Only for 5 minutes, understand? Please, try not to excite him.
Yes, yes, I'll be careful.
Clack. The door opened. As I expected, Oishi-san came in. Hello, hello, Mayabara-san. It's been a while, hasn't it? Tell me, how have you been since then?
The doctor, as my post-operative recovery seems to be going smoothly. I think I got worse when I saw your face.
You wound me. Almost like you got wounded. Am I right? Zoichi-san gave a laugh that smelled of sweat. He handed Mom a bag of assorted candies must have purchased from the souvenir corner on the first floor of the hospital. Excuse me, Miss Mayabara. Would it be possible for me to talk to Keiji-kun for just a few moments? Mom clearly wasn't pleased at the thought of a police officer talking to her son without her hair. However, I insisted. Mom, sorry, just a little while. Just 5 minutes, okay? Though begrudgingly, Mom left the room. She closed the door, Oishi-san grinned widely and looked around the room. Room to yourself. How high class. My old lady always gets a shared room, you know? It's quite lively, however. Seems like you're a higher rank if you have a worse disease in places like that. The sicker you are, the prouder you are. Or maybe the more arrogant.
Oishi-san, we only have 5 minutes.
I would like it if these were the last 5 minutes we ever saw each other. I don't have any connection to Hinamizawa anymore, and this isn't in Hinamizawa anymore either. Yes, because there weren't any general hospitals in Okonomiya. Mind if I take a seat? Down we go. This was a large university hospital in Shishibone City. It was splendidly urban, entirely different from the likes of Hinamizawa and Okonomiya. It was hard to believe that Hinamizawa was part of the same city. When does it look like you'll get transferred? Dunno. I'm ready to go whenever, though. My moving plans were a little delayed a little because of my serious injury. Parents had already left the house in Hinamizawa, though, and were living in our new one. Then why would you leave Keiichi there? Oh my god. The plan to have me transfer hospitals to be closer to the new house once I recovered enough to be taken there. Okay, okay. Please, don't come to where I'm transferring. Really will be get worse then. Man, you really do hate me. It might just be my job, but that stings. That's why I brought you all kinds of lovely souvenirs in atonement. You didn't need to bring an assortment of cookies for that. Well, you see, there aren't actually cookies in there. Look! Your son pulls open a can of cookies and... What? Ow, ow, I'm stretching my scar. I didn't know what you were into, my bar-son, so I brought all sorts of things. See, all sorts of cute-looking ones, from westerns to comic strips. Lately, they have this sort of age manga aimed at girls, too. Oh my god. Don't bring porn in here. Take them away and go home. Ow, ow, ow. I thought for sure a healthy young person like you would be feeling a little needy being cooped up in a place like this for so long. If you stay here for too long, the only fetish you'll end up with is a nurse one, you know? Oh my god. There are plenty of other beautiful things in this world besides nurses, after all. Don't decide what to major in now. Keep your options open. You need to be a more all-around type of person. Hoo 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 hoo. I gave Oishi-san's vulgar laughter a pained grin. Somehow or another, I understood. The fact that Oishi-san was bringing it up like this meant that he must have something important to talk about. The incident with Shion is really unfortunate. Yeah. I was stabbed by Mion. Shion fell from her balcony and died. Said the police were investigating all possibilities, accident, suicide, and homicide, but it could have only been Mion's doing. Mion found out where Shion was hiding and pushed her down to her death. I applaud the author. Dude, he has an AC. You can't hate him. You can't. Mion found nothing else was conceivable. It couldn't have been an accident. It was Mion. It had to be. The criminology guys are saying it had to be suicide, but I'm on the same opinion of you, Mayabara-san. She pushed Shion-san and also stabbed you in one night. Has Mion still not been found? Oh, that's right. That's why I came here to tell you today. Yes, we actually did find her. What? Ow, ow, ow. Learning that felt rather strange to me. I was partly relieved that the incident was truly over, and I was partly sorry that my best friend had finally been caught. I felt many other things too. My heart was a maze of emotions. That's not all. In the Sonozaki House catacombs, we found hidden well. Just as you said, Maibara-san, we found the remains of all those who disappeared at the bottom. I see. A sliver of hope, that possibility I'd believe in, that Rikishan and Satoko were alive. Just from the fact that their remains hadn't been found. Gone. It was incredibly well hidden in those catacombs. I mean, it was the blind spot of another blind spot. It was a vertical tunnel, dug out like a well. There was a ladder set up there, and we went all the way down. There was another tunnel built going through it. When we followed a few hundred meters, we found ourselves at the mouth of an old, unused well in the mountains. Jesus. I wonder if it was a secret escape route the previous Sonozaki family leader built. Probably was. Maybe it was made in the Meiji era. Still, I'm impressed that they built something like that. So everyone's remains are at the bottom? Yes. Even deeper down the escape path, there was a pool of coal tar. They had actually been casually thrown into there. They had fallen from a fairly high spot, so their remains were totally buried in it. Took a lot of time and effort to pull their bodies up. Did you find them all? I hoped that they at least wouldn't find Rika-chan or Satoko. That's what I wished for when I asked, but my shallow hope was crushed in a blink of an eye. Yes, all of them. In fact, they also found human bones we think are over a decade old. I think there are at least 3 people. I suppose this is the darkest side of Hinamizawa's history. I wonder how many people's bones we'll find when we've sucked out all the mud. It's a scary thought. That weight had been pushing down on Mion's shoulders the whole time. Mion. Currently identified people who disappeared from Shishibone City decades ago. People are talking about how this opportunity might let us resolve the disappearing persons cases that have been abandoned. You know, if anything, this has just tarnished the reputation of Hinamizawa more than it's helped. You know? After a deep silence, he breathed a heavy sigh. Fuji-san went for a cigarette to pass the time, but realized it was a non-smoking area, so he gave up and put them back in his shirt pocket. Oh, right. This is a bit of the detour. But you know Rika Furude-san, right? Of course. She's my friend. Did she ever tell you along the lines of her regular take insulin injections for diabetes? She has diabetes? What? Rika-chan has diabetes? I didn't know what he was talking about. Actually, we found it in her shirt pocket. A syringe. It was destroyed though, so we couldn't identify the medicine. It was a bit out of place, so I got interested. Really don't know anything? I didn't know anything about Rika-chan carrying syringes around with her. Sonozaki family corporates, or the Yakuza people. Corporates. Anyway, there's rumor that they had to deal with psychostimulants. I was thinking that might have something to do with it too. Are you trying to tell me that Rika-chan is a drug addict? Oh my god. Not at all. That isn't what I'm saying. It just seems strange, however you look at it, that she would bring a syringe with her on her way to get soy sauce. I have no idea what any of this means. My eyes are spinning. I feel sick. She from the hood. No, I know what it is. Rika-chan gave Mion some psychostimulants and made her all crazy, which made her do all of these bad things. I'm assuming that's how it is. Are you alright? Should I call a nurse? I am fine. Please continue. Well, that's all I had to say about the syringe. It was the only thing that personally struck me as interesting. Rika-chan. Rika-chan was sort of the village mascot after all. It looks like the village is in an uproar right now, between the older but blind believers and the Sonozaki family who killed her. 3 families' effective control over the village is basically in shambles too. Someone came up to them and talked of a dam again. With this sort of timing, the entire village would be abandoned for sure this time. I'm not related to Hinamizawa anymore. I actually was. I just said it because the thought of Hinamizawa being abandoned was unpleasant, and I wanted to end the conversation quickly. There was a knock at the door. It opened slightly, and my mom asked if we were still talking. Whoops! We went off topic, didn't we? What a pickle. Looked at the clock. 5 minutes were long past. He had told my mother that there was something he really wanted to ask, and if she could wait a little longer. Is that so? Keep it short, okay? Wasn't any getting around the fact that she was thinking about what a police officer could be talking to her son about. Maybe we should choose another day for this. Oishi-san? Mion. How is she right now? Wanted to just hear that answer and then get rid of him. Before I tell you that, I just need one thing from you. I just need you to answer something in all honesty. Just freaking say it. What is it? I want you to take your answer seriously, got it? If you say something indiscreet, it could be viewed as obstruction of the investigation and you could be prosecuted. Person kept threatening me until the end. What the hell did he want? My Bar-san, who do you think the criminal who pushed Shion from the balcony? There's no way it could be anyone but Mion, is there? Then who is the one who stabbed you? Right, because they happened at the same exact time. Both at 2 a.m., right? Please don't make me say it again. It was Mion Sonozaki. Shion smiled bitterly and then dabbed at his forehead with a handkerchief to swipe his sweat. Should have expected that answer, and yet it looked like he wasn't satisfied with it. She pushed Shion and then stabbed me. Didn't you just admit to yourself Mion was the criminal? The evidence we have Mion killed Shion is based on testimony from the man living next door. The neighbor is actually a member of an organized crime group. In other words, he was Shion-san's bodyguard. Seems a veteran leader that was in vain, she was like a parent to the Sonozaki sisters growing up. That man said this. The noise he heard from the next door was just like the sound of a fight between the sisters that he was used to hearing when they still lived together. And no, there was no doubt about it. He said he heard Mion and Shion insulting each other and heard them struggling. At first, though, he thought it was a hallucination she was having brought on by her dementia. You see, he thought that because there was sort of a ruckus had been occurring every night. However, that night had been longer than the rest. He claimed that he went to her room to give her a sedative. The noise died down when he got the manager to give him a key. He already decided he'd at least check up on her, and after she wasn't answering his calls, they took the plunge and unlocked the door. They saw the room was a mess. Since Shion had been pushed over the balcony, they decided it had to have been Mion, and that's how it happened. In other words, they only heard from the other side of the wall. Plus, from the apartment complex that's connected to the organization, it doesn't have many residents. They were the only ones who heard it happening. To reiterate, there was only one person who witnessed Mion Sonozaki. And if he didn't see her, that it's obviously Mion's doing. Now, settle down. This is what I'm saying. It means you are the only one who saw Mion Sonozaki for sure that night. After all, Shion-san, the other witness, is no longer alive. What are you trying to say? I don't really understand. At that point, Oishi-san paused. The fact that this was a no-smoking area completely slipped his mind. He took out his pack of cigarettes again. Kerchlack, he lit one with his lighter, and exhaled a long string of tobacco smoke. Were you really stabbed by Mion Sonozaki? Yes. There's no doubt about it. Smoke Oishi-san breathed out and floated away like a thunderbolt. Thundercloud is swept away by the wind. Oishi-san, you can't smoke in here. Thank you for the follow, bro! This is a deep conversation, but thank you. Oishi-san, you can't smoke in here. The nurses will get mad. Actually, we found Mion Sonozaki at... What? 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 She fell to her death. We believe that she was trying to escape to that hidden passage in the well. Her foot slipped while climbing down the ladder. She fell to the bottom, broke her neck, and died. Yes. Same way as Shion-san. She broke her neck. Well, what? After you passed out that day, Mion Sonozaki tried to escape using the hidden well, but her foot slipped and she died. As if beckoned by the corpses of the other sacrifices, she dropped down there. But can't you just check the DNA on the murder weapon, or did she take that back with her? That doesn't make any sense, does it? The autopsy came to the conclusion that she definitely died on that day. She didn't go back there after attacking you and Shion-san. She was already dead by then. My jaw was on the floor. There's absolutely no way that could be. Moon was the only one that stabbed me. It had to have been her. It could have been anyone else to do it. Then, who attacked Shion and me? Who was it? The one who attacked you was someone who was Mio and Sonozaki, and yet not Mio and Sonozaki. My mind complete mess, and I was starting to lose my ability to think straight. Do you remember how Mio Takano died? Eh? Takano-san. Yes. Think I heard that she was burned to death in some distant mountains? We learned that she was burned after being strangled to death. The Gifu station did the autopsy. It's a bit strange. The results of preliminary autopsy said that she had died at least 24 hours. Since that was the contrary, in their panic they seemed to have revised it to say she died earlier that day. Despite me having an absolute wreck over what was going on with Mion, he was telling me there was even more on top of that. I didn't understand what complex things Oishi-san was telling me. The results saying she had been dead for 24 hours, as our own criminologist says, is pretty damn reliable. So what would that mean? I've been asked that question over and over. But on the night of Watanagashi, you were with Mio Takano-san, weren't you? I was? You also met her on the day before while settling up for the festival, right? I mean, I ran into her too. Yes. I was with her then. If she'd been dead for 24 hours, then that would mean she would be already dead the day before the festival. Bruh. What the actual heck? So it wasn't her that was trying to get into the storehouse. That wasn't her. Literally imposter moment. That wasn't her. Someone was trying to get them to go in the storehouse to cause this whole chain of events. That wasn't her. Oh my god. That can't be. She was alive during the festival preparations. However, when you slipped in the ritual storehouse, Takano-san was already dead. The origin of all that happened. The beginning of everything. Our intrusion in the ritual storehouse, which I'd come to regret 1,000 times. The one who attended me, Takano-san. When she invited us into the storehouse, she was already no longer of this world. Shut up, Dirk, you know. You know. There are too many dead people walking around in this incident. An incident caused by a dead person. And ended by a dead person. Also, apparently they're under pressure to revise the time of Mio Sonozaki's death, not to the day of the incident, but to right after she stabbed you. Probably pressure from the outside to get this incident wrapped up already. So I'd appreciate it if you didn't say a word about this to anyone. Oishi-san grabbed his jacket that was hanging on the chair, put out a cigarette with the bottom of his foot, instead of pretending to wave away the smoke floating around. I've stayed too long. I've come thinking that I would at least end this incident as it applied to you, but looks like it got even more baffling instead. Absent-mindedly, he walked to the door, looking at me unable to speak, out of the corner of his eye. If so happens that something comes up you want to talk about in the future, call me anytime. My business card is in those souvenirs from before. When that time comes, I'll pay you a visit with some wonderful souvenirs again. Yeah, souvenirs. Oishi-san seemed to think I was still hiding something. That I, after all this, would be hiding something. I'm the one things should be hidden from, are being hidden from. I'm the one who wants to know. Let's meet again one day. Take care of yourself. There he goes. Slam. I listened to the tap 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 of Oishi-san walking down the hallway. Still couldn't return from my state of bewilderment. He wanted to end this incident as it applied to me. What was over? Nothing was over. The incident was still continuing. And then that's it? My god. What? Hold on! Hold on, what? Then slip, an arm covered in fresh blood came out from underneath the bed. I wasn't that surprised. This was an illusion I was seeing, seized with fear. Kei-chan, I told you, remember? I heard a guttural voice coming from under the bed. Still recognized it as Mion's voice. What, Mion? What did you tell me? I warned you on that day. After today, if you see me, it will be the demon that has possessed my body. Oh, so she doesn't have to be alive for her to do things because it's the demon, right? You did. You said that, didn't you? Sorry. Guess I wasn't careful enough. That's why I got stabbed. Possibly wounds sustained when she fell from the ladder. Many of her fingernails were broken and torn. Her arm slowly felt about on top of the bed, searching for mine. Oh, hey, Mion. I just, well, thought of a good joke. Want to hear it? Mion under the bed didn't answer. Well, let's say that I, died here today. But tomorrow, I'd still be here, living a normal life. So, when Oishi-san learned about it afterwards, the time of death wouldn't make sense. Once again, to make a huge deal about someone who should have died was alive, and he'd totally lose his head. Takano-san, then Mion, and then me third. So? Funny, right? Makes you laugh, doesn't it? Kei-chan. Laugh. Or was it not that funny? Mion's bloodstained hand groped around and found my wrist. Though her fingernails were torn, she gripped it hard as if scratching me. Ow, ow, ow. Go easy. Ow, it hurts. Kei-chan, I've come for you. I tried to shake my wrist loose, but the strength she held it was unbelievable. And I couldn't. She was only gripping one wrist, and yet my whole body couldn't move. I couldn't even twitch. My fingers were spread apart, and I couldn't make fist either. And that fact that I couldn't make a fist reminded me of the restraining table. I felt a crooked nail pressed against my left pinky fingertip. Mion's forehead was split open with a face covered in blood. She smiled and got right up in front of my nose. Nothing was over. Nothing was over. The incident was far from being over. It was still going on. It was still happening. Someone, please end this incident. This cruel, tragic, unfortunate, sad incident. Please end it. That is my only wish. I granted you one before, remember? You don't get any more. Oh my gosh. Mio firmly held the nail down on my fingertip, and with her only hand, she slowly swung a mallet up in the air and... Oh. Dang, dude, that is so freaking good. Oh my god. While it rather was pretty long. New scenario unlocked. Wow. That was really long, but man, that was really good. Oh god, give me shivers. As much as I love chapter 1, I don't think any chapter will top that one for me. But that one was really, really nice. Yeah, we'll do all the extra stuff in a different stream, but that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for sticking with me for almost 3 hours. Almost 3 entire hours. God. But that's it. That's it, isn't it? Next is chapter 3. Huh? And then we're almost done with the question arc, which is gonna be pretty interesting. But, yeah. I want to thank you guys again for keeping me company. Keeping me less scared than I usually am. So, yeah. Hope you guys had a fun time. I'll see you again in the next stream, alright? Bye-bye! Uh-oh, why am I here?
Brand new.